podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. The show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, June 5th, 2021. This is episode 1802. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Thinking of expanding your IT skills with a search to prove it? Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription when you use the code TWIT30 at checkout. And by SimpliSafe. To learn more about how SimpliSafe can help you protect yourself and your family, visit simplisafe.com/twit today and customize your system. You'll get a free security camera and a 60-day risk-free trial, so there's nothing to lose. And if I can put in a little plug, we would love you to join Club TWiT. Ad-free versions of all of our shows, including this one, audio and video, plus our great Discord server. It's really a fun community online, open only to Club TWiT members, so that makes it extra exclusive. Plus the TWiT Plus feed of stuff that, well, just didn't make it into previous podcasts. I think it's a very good deal at $7 a month, and it really helps us keep these shows on the air. You want to support TWiT? You want to support our podcast? Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks. Whoa, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches. Yeah, it's the tech show. Oh, honey, quick, change the channel. It's that tech show again. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think there's a gardening show on the left and probably a home theater fitness or something show on the right. But right now, you're here, and this is the show where we talk about tech. 8888 Ask Leo if you want to join the combo. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still call. Just use Skype out, something like that. They'll call out a phone number. Shouldn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. Day after tomorrow, Monday, June 7th, Apple's going to announce 2 new laptops. I'm pretty confident of that prediction. Don't know what else they'll do. iOS 15, Mac OS 12. But that's not the big story of the week. The big story of the week is Microsoft has announced they're going to do a new version of Windows on June 24th. Well, what? We haven't had a new version of a big numbered version of Windows since Windows 10 came out 5 years ago. At that time, Microsoft said this is the last version of Windows. I guess they were wrong. What does it mean when there's going to be a new version? Nothing. You could call it Windows 10 21H2, I guess. I mean, it's not going to be that different, I don't think. Maybe we can dream. We can hope. What will they call it? Well, indications are maybe Windows 11. The guy in charge of Windows, his name is Panos Panay. He's also in charge of hardware. Put out a tweet. Yeah, everything's announced by a tweet these days. Saying, oh, here it comes. Join us June 24th, 11 a.m. Eastern Time for the Microsoft event to see what's next. This came from the @Windows account. And then there's a picture of a window in a, just like the Windows window in a blue room. But the sun's shining through the window. There's a cross pane missing, so it makes an 11 on the floor. What? Windows 11. I think and it's starting at 11 a.m., which is not, typical. Microsoft executive Yusuf Mehdi said he hasn't been, quote, this excited for a new version of Windows since Windows 95. Start me up, Yusuf. New version is the key phrase, a new version of Windows. Next generation of Windows. Not Windows 10X. We'd heard about that. More likely what we'd heard about as codename Sun Valley. Sun Valley. And the company's already called Sun Valley a, quote, sweeping visual rejuvenation of Windows. And so just to temper everybody's expectations, that's probably what we'll see June 24th, is just a different look. Not even that different. You can't change it too much. Interesting because businesses hate this. You know, they'd still be on Windows XP. In fact, many are, if Microsoft had let them. Businesses don't like it when things change, not one cotton picking bit. So I think it's likely that this isn't for business. This is kind of for everybody else, the home user. We shall see. We shall see. They have been working on a new store. Does that get you excited? The new app store for Windows? It doesn't get me excited. Rumors suggest, according to The Verge, it will be a significant departure from what exists today. Satya Nadella, their CEO, promised to, quote, unlock greater economic opportunity for developers and creators. Well, you know what that's all about. Apple's under great scrutiny. Not only are they being sued by the big game developer Epic, but the EU and even the FTC and Congress are investigating them for their 30% App Store percent. You know, honestly, I think when Apple established the App Store in 2007, well, it was, they started working on 2007 when the iPhone came out. They didn't release it until 2008. But when they started working on it, I think their thought was, well, if I make software, I have to pay to print it on a 2007 CD, right? And put it in a box and ship it to a store and put it on the store shelf, and then they take at least half. So if we create a store where we only take a third, 30%, and you don't have to worry about printing a CD or anything, we'll handle the downloads, everything like that. We'll make sure that customers flock to the store because, and this is where they're in a little bit of trouble, that will be the only way you can get stuff on the iPhone and the iPad. Oh, I don't see it as a problem. 30%. Most developers think that's okay. Although one well-known developer, a guy who worked at Tumblr for a while, he's very well-known in the Apple community. His name is Marco Arment. He's written some software. I mean, I guess his current thing is a podcast client called Overcast. But he's a little miffed at Apple. He said Apple's leaders continue to deny developers of two obvious truths: that our apps provide substantial value to iOS beyond the purchase commissions collected by Apple, that any portion of our customers came to our app from our own marketing and reputation rather than the App Store. I'm sure Apple understands the value that Angry Birds and Fruit Ninja added to the iPhone. I'm sure they know that. That's why they're only taking 30%. I mean, I'm not here to defend the App Store, but anyway, see how I managed to turn a Windows story into a Mac story? I'm clever that way, aren't I? Sorry about that. Didn't mean to hijack. In any event, that's the story. That's what we're talking about. And I think the best thing to do is temper your expectations for Windows 11. I remember when Windows 95, that was a big one. Remember they had tents and events and party, and I remember going to an event in Silicon Valley, and it was a big deal. They had simulcasts of giant screens with Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer, and they were so excited about Windows 95. I remember when XP came out, big deal. In fact, when Windows 7 came out, they invited people to send for a Windows 7 party pack so you could have a Windows 7 launch party in your own house. I sent for it. You got a deck of Windows 7 cards, a streamer, I think, a balloon, a cocktail napkin. So, it's a big deal. I mean, I think people get excited. Maybe Windows 7 was the last time we really got excited. Windows 10 was a good thing, but did people jump up and down? Windows 8 was so horrible. people hated it so much that I think some people actually soured on Windows at that point. They were trying to jam a shoehorn tablet operating system into a desktop operating system. Windows 10 fixed all that, smoothed it out, and I think Windows 10 is very nice. There's some debate about whether it's as good as Windows 7, but I think most people agree that, the great versions of Windows were Windows 2000. Remember that one? Windows 7 and Windows 10. And Windows 10, Microsoft said, this is the last one. This is it. We're going to just stick with this forever. So get it, and you won't ever have to pay for an upgrade. So now, they lied. Here's Windows 11. Will you have to pay for it? Unknown. That would be a bit of a sticky wicket. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you want to talk high tech. I would love to talk high tech with you. 888-827-5536. That's the number. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach us. Just use Skype out. 8888 Ask Leo. The website, when you hear something on the show and you say, I got to write that down, you don't have to write it down. Maybe I'm flattering myself. Maybe you won't say that. But in case you do, in case you say, I'd like to remember that, it's all being written for you, inscribed, as it were, into the clay tablets by our official scribe, Mr. James DeRufo. Will put those tablets up on the website. That's techguylabs.com, techguylabs.com. And it's free, no sign up. I'm not plugging it to get you to sign up. It's just what it is. It's there for you. In fact, you can leave comments, and if you have an opinion, you say, Leo, you're full of it. There's something better. That's fine. That's good. I want that. techguylabs.com. That's the perfect song for the wonderful Kimmy Schaffer, the unbreakable phone angel. How's your foot?
It's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Good.
I must be healing like a teenager.
Yeah, that's a good sign these days.
Yeah, so far.
How was your week? Did you have a good week?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so.
Yeah? You're not sure?
They all
Could
kind
be.
of blend in.
It does.
I don't know.
It does.
I don't
It's
remember
kinda
anything
sad.
that stands out. But
Yeah, it is. It's kind of sad.
But I think today's going to be a good day.
I like your thinking.
Because I had a call from David in Texas. He
Yes?
just called to say thank you guys for being on. I love the show. I don't have a question, but
I ain't got nothing to
so I
ask.
was like, love those calls.
Love those calls. Thank you, David. That's very kind of you.
Yeah.
So I don't have to talk to him.
You don't have to talk to him. And Alan, he just has a contribution. He's a ham operator. So
I
let's go
like
to
it.
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica.
Monica.
Thank you, Kim Schaffer. Hello, Alan Ham Operator. W6TWT 73, as they say. That's me.
Hello.
By the way, I got to renew my license. My 10 years is up.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
I was just talking.
Hey. Yeah, my name's Alan in Marina Del Rey.
Good
And
to-
I have
good
a
to see you.
song.
Yes.
I have a song called Back on the Air. The only way of hearing it, though, is on YouTube. I don't know if you can view it and hear this thing. We have about 2,000 people who have looked at it, and people love it.
It's about ham operators?
Yeah, it's called Back on the Air.
Nice. Well,
Yeah,
I'll
and-
have our musical director find it and play it for us when we come back from the next break. Back
would be
on
so
the
good.
air, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I think you're really going to be impressed by it.
I was just saying, I'm W6TWT, Whiskey 6 Tango, Whiskey Tango. And then I guess I say 73 or something, which means best regards. I'm not a very good ham. Maybe I'll listen to your song and get to be a better ham.
This is W2BUZ.
Well, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah. Hey, thank you very much. And we have this. There's a England club of a ham club over there, and they asked us to use one of our theme songs for their club. Now they liked it that much. So
Nice.
yeah. So
That's
hopefully
great.
I
will play it. We will play it. Yep. And
Yeah,
for people
yeah,
who
and
want to hear it in its entirety, because we don't play whole songs, tell me the name again.
It's called the song.
Yeah.
It's called Back on the Air, And the name of the person is Alan, Allen, Chance, Chance, and Paul Rogers.
So if we search, what's the YouTube channel?
Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah, Paul Rogers and Alan Chance.
Great, Alan. Thank you.
Hey, Leo, thank you. I'll be dying to hear what you guys do.
We'll play it next, yeah.
Okay, great.
I don't normally take requests. But I should, because this is for many graduation day. My stepson Michael is graduating from high school. In fact, he's doing it right as I speak, so I couldn't go. But that's okay because of COVID. He only got 4 tickets, and there were quite a few people who wanted to go, including his grandparents, his mom, my wife. So it worked out okay. I gave up my seat so that Aunt Debbie could go too. They're all there watching Michael graduate from high school. That's a big deal. So congratulations to all the grads. I know a lot of them are graduating this weekend. So is my nephew, Will Sumrall. He's a very talented artist. He's graduating from the Rhode Island School of Design right about now. Also, RISD they call it, and he's going places. Very talented kid. Let's say hello to Adriana in Tyron, North Carolina. Hey, Adriana.
Hello, how are you?
Or should I say, yo, Adrian? No, you've heard that a few times. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. What can I do for you?
I wanted to thank you in regards to, I had called in the fall about my Synology server. I had a smaller version like the DS214, and you had recommended the DS1520 Plus.
Yeah, that's the one I use.
Tell you, it flies.
Isn't it great?
It flies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they're still not, these NASs are little computers, not so little. They're computers with giant storage, and they're used for backup and lots of other things. And so they don't need to put a super fast processor in there, but that's the fastest processor, at least at the time that Synology made it. And it's fast enough to do a lot. What do you, besides backup, what do you use it for?
I have my Plex server on it.
Plex, perfect.
And then, of course, I use like basically for document storage.
Yeah.
And I remember you recommending the Synology. I think it was the desktop client.
Yeah.
And then you'd also talked about using it in conjunction, since I'm a big Mac user, with Time Machine, and I also have it backed up to Backblaze.
Sounds like you're getting a lot of value out of it. That's fantastic.
I know. And it's amazing, and people just look at me like, but why do you have a server? Because everybody needs backup. It's
expensive. So, it's an expensive way to back up, but it's your personal cloud, and that's the way to think of it. And I like Synology a lot. I think they do a very good job. I have 2 of them. The next step, this is one of those things like buying a boat. You never end buying new things. The next step is when you get a new Synology in a few years, take that old one to work or somewhere else. That's what I do with my old one, and now they sync up, and now it's kind of a backup that's off-site also. So there's a lot. Backblaze works as well, but there's a lot you can do with it. It's really great. Plex is smart. You're making that your media server for the house.
It works beautifully with that particular model. There's a bit of a struggle on the older model.
Yeah, that's why you want the processor. Yeah, because it transcodes when it plays it. Yeah, yeah.
So my question for you is, and that is just trying to figure out, I decided to keep my old one, and I was just going to test it out and try the latest version, which is the DSM 7.0.
Perfect.
The official
That's good. Keep the old one. That's great. Yes. DSM 7 will be official in a month or 2.
Yes. And so my question.
Hold on just a second, because I got to take a break. Scott Wilkinson, home theater guru, coming up next. And I'll talk NASA's with Adriana right after this. Sorry, Adriana, I had to wrap it up.
No worries.
So you're going to put the release candidate on. That's good. That's a good way to do it. I wouldn't put it on your main NAS.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to test it out. I think one of your tech journalists, I was watching, I think This Week in Tech was talking about the latest Synology 7.0 photos, and because last week, was it 2 weeks ago, there was a discussion about the Google Photos.
Yes.
And they're going to be charging. And so when one of your journalists was talking about that, and, there were some pros and cons, but I think overall that still is fantastic, alternate for a lot of people, because my husband just happens to be a budding photographer.
Perfect.
And I just think that may be the best route for a lot of people, so.
Perfect. Yeah, that was Jason Howell. He did a review. It was on our Hands on Technology show, twit.tv/hot. He did because for this exact reason. We were talking, this was the week that Google said, no more free storage. So I said, can you replace Google with a Synology NAS? And so he tried out all the different photo apps. It's a great idea. I certainly put all my photos on the NAS. You don't want to lose any of those.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Yeah. Great, Adriana. Very nice to talk to you. I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah.
Oh, and you had another question. I'm sorry.
Can I ask the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, really, I guess my question really is what is the best battery backup for now that I have two Synologies? Because I currently have the 1500, but it's just it's the smaller tower one, and the one I was looking at was the battery backup search and protection. It's called the Smart Connect.
Yes.
1500. And
Yeah.
so trying to figure out.
You don't need to buy Synologies. Almost anything will do this. And the nice thing about that NAS is it has as you know, a USB port designed to connect to appropriate, and most of them will work with this as a standard, appropriate UPSs. So if the power goes out, it'll communicate with the UPS. The UPS will say, all right, I want you to, if you don't have enough juice or when you run out of juice, I want you to shut down in an orderly fashion now because I'm about to give up the ghost. And that's a really useful thing. Now, I'll tell you what I use on mine, but Trip Light is very good. APC is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I use one that I had never used before, but I've been very happy with it. Let me I'm trying to remember the name off the head. Okay. It's from a company called Cyber Power.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, and I use the CP800 AVR. And that's but that's a 400-watt system. You'll see the more wattage you have, the longer it'll run. So, but they make a variety of these, and the one I got was $100. It wasn't very expensive. It has 8 outlets.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's a lot cheaper than the Synology. Yeah, and it automatically connects via UPS or a USB to the Synology, so it can do that communication. Plus, they have insurance and all of that stuff. And I've had it for 2 years. Haven't had to replace the battery. They say the battery goes 3 years, and so far so good.
Wow. Yeah, I was just learning about that. I think it was like the data port, like in the back of your battery supply.
Yeah.
You can connect that, and you can connect that to your Synology. So I'm just learning how to be able to back everything up, because I can't afford if the power goes out, that's going to affect my server. And that just creates
it's havoc. Expensive to have enough battery to keep it running for hours. So you'll have to decide if you want to spend that money. But that's what the USB thing does, is it says to the Synology, look, we just lost power. I can keep you running for a little bit, but I'm going to have you shut down in 15 minutes. And the Synology will do that with an orderly shutdown. And that's the most important thing. You don't want power to suddenly go out. Have to run. Scott's here. Hello, Scotty.
Hello, Leo.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Look, he just jumped out of his trick bag. Whatever that means. I hope it's not bad. Scott Wilkinson's here, home theater geek. He is hip. He's a contributor at techhive.com, and he is our guru for all things audio and video. Hello, Scott. I wanted to mention something real quick before your segment. Yes. Because you mentioned and recommended those great Sennheiser earbuds, the IE300s. Oh, yeah. I love them. They sound really, really good. And then everybody was going, nuts about these $550. They're much more expensive, $250 more expensive. $550 Apple AirPods Max, and Apple is talking about spatial audio and all this stuff. So I finally thought, well, I really ought to try these. So I bought them.
I haven't tried them. What do you think?
Terrible.
Really?
Terrible. The spatial audio is okay, but many headphones will work with it. You just need an Atmos decoder. Right. But the main issue for me is the audio quality. And Apple's already said, and I thought this was a hint, that even if you have it connected with a wire, which they sell separately, a lightning port to your headphone wire, it will not do the lossless audio.
What?
No, well, and I understand why. It's a USB. They're USB, primarily USB
Well,
headsets.
USB will do lossless audio and do high-res audio.
Yeah, but not very well. Not USB, I'm sorry. Bluetooth.
Oh,
They're not
Bluetooth
USB.
will not.
So the cable apparently is, Apple is not putting the lossless digital through the cable or something. In any event, I understand now why when I listen to it, they're terrible. For $550, they're awful. So I just want to let people know, if you're tempted,
Yeah.
for $300, which is still a lot, but you can get these Sennheisers. They're excellent, the IE300s.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be much happier. Now, the one thing they do well is the noise cancellation is very good, as I would expect, because they have processors in both ears. They have a lot of processing. So
Yeah.
for the airplane, it'll be great. But I don't even think it's as good as the Quiet Comforts from Bose. They're just not great headphones.
No, the Quiet Comforts are excellent noise cancelers.
Yeah.
I just did a review. I wasn't really going to talk about this because they're not that good, but I did a review of a pair of noise-canceling headphones from a company called EOZ, E-O-Z. They're called the ARC. And they're super comfortable, really, really comfortable. But the sound quality isn't very good. It uses what's called the Smiley curve. Have you heard of that?
Yeah. You talked about it last week, didn't you? Yeah. It looks like a smile. It's high at the boosted at the high end and the low end.
Right, at the expense of the mid-range, which is where the vocals are.
Yeah, we used to call that the loudness button. Remember on the stereo?
Yep, exactly. And what's worse even than that, I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. The noise canceling isn't very good.
Yeah.
I test noise canceling by going into my laundry room and turning on the dryer.
You'll be amazed. Okay, so the thing that Apple does really well, and then that makes sense. They're not really an audio company, despite owning Beats. They're a technology company. The noise canceling is the best I've ever heard. You really can't hear anything. So these will be great for the airplane. Basically, they're over-the-ear headphones. They're heavy. They're battery powered. They're Bluetooth. So they make sense on an airplane. I think they'll do very well on the airplane. But
Sure.
because the audio doesn't have to be great on an airplane. But boy, I was disappointed.
Well, that's also true.
I thought for $550 they should sound a little bit
Oh
better.
yeah. My favorite ANC active noise canceling headphones at the moment are the Clear Flow 2. CLEER is the name of the company. Over the years, and I compared them with these EOS ARCs, and boy, their noise canceling is great.
Boy, I wish I could lend you these apples because
I'd love to hear.
Yeah,
them.
you really need to, and I'd love to get a comparison between the Clear. We're going on a vacation in next month to Hawaii. After I get back, I don't want to lose them for that, but after I get back, I'll be glad to send them down to you. And you can.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah. Absolutely.
I just want to let people know audio quality. It's not bad. It's just not great.
I got an email a week or two ago from someone who bought the pair of Sennheiser IE300s.
Those are great, boy.
And he said they were so good. He liked them better than the Campfire Audio, which are, I forget the model number, but they're, many hundreds of dollars more.
Yeah. I think those for $300, that's probably, if that's your budget, and you don't mind, they kind of go in your ear. They're earbuds. But if you don't mind those, they're the best. But they're wired, and they don't have a microphone.
Wired.
Yeah.
They don't have a microphone, as I recall,
no.
right?
And I think people, I think a lot of people want wireless, but I think that's the thing that you need to know is that wireless can't sound as good as wired.
That's correct.
And I think Apple just said,
at least Bluetooth. Bluetooth.
Well, maybe
AirPlay and Chromecast can.
Which is a good question. Why don't these headphones support AirPlay? I don't know, because that's Apple's technology.
It's Apple's thing. They should support AirPlay, for heaven's sakes. Yeah. Of course, that wouldn't work very well on a plane.
Right. You can't use Wi-Fi on a plane. Or can you?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, maybe in some planes, I guess you can.
Bluetooth you can. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly that.
I'm a little. I thought they'd be better, to be honest. Anyway,
for $550.
Didn't mean to hijack your segment here.
Oh, that's quite all right. I this week or a week ago, I attended the Vizio product showcase.
We like them. Yeah.
We like them a lot, and they're doing a great job. And they introduced their new line of LED backlit LCD TVs, which look really, really good. They have a big variety of series, and I really don't recommend anything below what they're now calling the MQ7 series, because that's the first. Q stands for quantum dots. So most of their lines from the M series up use quantum dots, and which is a backlight technology that makes brighter and more vivid colors. And the MQ6 and the MQ7, I don't recommend anything below the MQ7, because the MQ7 is the one that starts with full array local dimming, or FALD, which is the better kind of backlight. And they're touting a really good gaming performance, very low latency, variable frame rate. So it's got a lot of gaming going on with it, and so. I recommend the MQ7 or the PQ9, which is the next step up, and the PQX, which is the ultimate. That's an 85-inch TV with 3,000 nits of peak brightness, which is so bright. That's tremendously bright.
We had a caller last week buying an OLED, and he wanted to know Sony or LG. And I said the Sonys are very good. In fact, they won the shootout last year.
Yep.
But either one would be happy with, right? And
Absolutely.
If the LG is a little less expensive, go for the LG. In fact, I think LG makes everybody's panels, so you're probably
they do.
Yeah, you're getting an LG
That's
no matter
exactly
what.
Right.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah.
Well, you're getting the secret sauce of Sony or whoever. You're getting their processing as opposed.
Does Vizio offer an OLED yet? No,
they do. Yes,
they do.
No, they absolutely do.
And did you like
in
that
fact,
one?
I haven't seen it personally myself, but it's got to be good. And in fact, at this event, I said, "Well, what about the OLED?" And they said, "Oh, well, we'll make an announcement of that later. It's not going away. We're fully behind OLED, but this event was just about LCD TVs."
Yeah.
So a Vizio OLED and is less expensive even than the LG. So if you want to save money on an OLED, the Vizio is probably really good. Now I haven't seen it myself, so I can't verify.
Oh, this is a Zoom event. It's one of those kind of events.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was. Yeah. We're going to start seeing some in-person events. In fact, I'm going next week to see an in-person demo of a true 3D display. I'll be happy to talk about that next week. That'll be really interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that due to COVID, you haven't been able to see these new TVs in person in some time. But that's about to change.
That is about to change.
That's exciting. Yeah.
When the whole world opens up again.
Yes. That's the song, by the way, on YouTube. When the whole world opens up again. Scott Wilkinson. We're going to play that Hams song when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Nice sneaky plug in there. That was cute. That was really cute. When the whole world opens up again. What is he talking about? Oh, yeah.
Well, you gave me the opening, man. I had to take it.
You had to take it. You had to walk right in, sit right down. Hey, no, I'm glad. That's great. It's good that you get that in. So I'll give you $3.53 here. And if can you stick around?
Sure.
All right. Enjoy.
By the way, though,
yes.
Just you mentioned your July trip. We are also going on a July trip. I will not be here July 10th or 17th.
So the 10th is, let's see, we're going 12th through 19th. So we'll miss you on the 10th, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll be up in Santa Cruz playing with my old brass quintet.
Fun.
That'll be super fun. And then the following week, we're taking a nice road trip down the coast of California. We'll be staying at Esalen in Big Sur.
Oh, fun. As you do, as one does.
Well,
so that one's good because I will not, that'll be a pure rerun show. So
okay, good. So I'm only missing one show.
You're only missing one. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool.
Cool beans. Should I send you like an email or John or somebody just to remind you?
Yeah, send it to John. Probably a good idea. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So Beatmaster says, as of right now, Sony would be the best OLED choice with second-generation LG OLED tech in it. LG OLED TVs aren't out yet with this new tech. Actually, the G1, I don't know if it's actually available yet, but the 2021 G series, called the G1, does have the new tech. It's called the Evo panel. And I didn't know that Sony this year was using it. I have to look into that. I actually did not know that. But if that's true, then yes, absolutely. Sony, I think, probably does a better job with processing. They use the same panel, as Leo said, and it's absolutely true. Now, the second-generation panel is better, so if they're doing that, and LG isn't, except in the more expensive G series, then yeah, absolutely, Sony's the one to get. It's also the most expensive, so can you afford it? Great. MJ Ryder has a question in Discord. Let me see if I can get to Discord.
Oh, I've got to launch thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, okay, here he is. Potentially can't 2.5 gigahertz wireless also be fairly close to as good as wired? No. I suppose potentially. Well, yes, in fact it can, because that's what AirPlay is. AirPlay
but it's Wi-Fi, yeah.
It's
so
Wi-Fi.
What else besides AirPlay is a 2.4 gigahertz though?
Is Chromecast? I thought Chromecast.
Yeah, but those are all Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
so there's no other. So it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. There's no other.
Well, yes, that's true. Now there's a company doing its own wireless, and its name escapes me at the moment. And they're doing it with their own speakers. And whether or not don't do that.
License do yourself a favor.
Yeah. I'm going to be reviewing those, and I will see.
Yeah, but it's always a bad idea to do something that they're doing their own thing. That's not. I promise you, that's.
There is also WISA, WISA, which is Wireless Speaker Association.
Oh, that's interesting.
They are licensing their technology to a variety of companies. I don't think they've done it with headphones yet. But they've done it with a variety of speakers, and that's a high-res audio wireless system. But again, it's not Bluetooth, it's not Wi-Fi, it's their own thing that they're licensing. So a number of companies.
Well, that's a little different, yeah.
Audality, that's the name of the company that's doing their specific thing. And I asked them if they were going to license it, and they said, "Yeah, we're thinking about it." I said, "You're not going to get very far unless you do."
Yeah. All right, Scott, stick around for the top, will you?
You betcha.
Our show today brought to you by IT Pro TV. Oh, man, if you want to get into IT, there is no better way to get the skills you need to take the courses and then get the certs to get the job you want. IT Pro TV, the best online source for IT education. And this is not just true for individuals. It's true for anybody who's got a team of IT. Harvard University uses IT Pro TV to keep their IT department up to spec. Lots of companies do. And if you're interested in IT, if you're a geek, you love this stuff, and you'd like to get a job in it, there's nothing more affordable, more fun, and more effective than IT Pro TV. Let's talk about cybersecurity. Right now, couldn't be hotter, right? Job one for a lot of organizations. And if you're running an IT organization, you got to be updating your knowledge and your understanding of, what's going on in security and industry trends, learning the latest attacks that you have to defend against. That's why both businesses and individuals go to IT Pro TV. Whether you're a cybersecurity novice or expert, IT Pro TV provides you with the most up-to-date, critical information and tutorials. They've got courses in cybersecurity like their MTA Networking Fundamentals, MTA Security Fundamentals. Actually, June this month is Hacker Month at IT Pro TV. I love that. Is it this weekend? No, next weekend, June 12th through 13th, they'll be doing 5 free hacking courses. Free, including the EC Council's Certified Ethical Hacker. That's a cert I would love. The CompTIA Pen Test Plus. There'll be a webinar June 17th with YouTuber John Hammond on something called reverse malware. That'll be on demand thereafter as well. IT Pro TV gives you the IT training and certs you need to be successful. And they're always updating it because IT doesn't stand still. The certs change, the tests change, the questions change, versions come and go. They have 7 studios running Monday through Friday all day, 5,800 hours of IT training, always up to date with new content all the time. And it's not just security. I mean, Apple, Security Skills, Python, Cisco. They're the official video training partner for CompTIA. So if you're looking for the A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, the Pen Test Plus certs, that's the place to go. You get the best IT training around. IT Pro TV's courses are live and on demand worldwide. You can do it in your browser, on your phone. There's iOS and Android apps. There's a Chromecast app. There's Roku. There's Apple TV. One reviewer said, I really like the way IT Pro makes you feel like you're right in the room with the teachers. I like how I can watch on Roku. The instructions really clear. You can understand the content. Teachers are great. Live or on demand, there's nothing better. Go to itpro.tv/twit. The offer code TWIT30 will get you 30% off all consumer subscriptions, and not just when you sign up, but for the rest, as long as you stay active, for the rest of your membership. That's an amazing deal. itpro.tv/twit. Offer code TWIT30, 30% off for the lifetime of your active subscription. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey with IT Pro TV. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. No, it's good. 888-827-5536. I'm back on the air here with Joe in Ladera Ranch, California. Hello, Joe.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
Great. Thanks for hanging on. What can I do for you?
My daughter and I are just sitting here. We were just talking about calling in and see if you can help us out with a problem that I'm having.
Okay.
So about a few months ago, I started noticing that I was experiencing some lag time in my cursor. I'm on a Windows PC. It's a MacBook.
You'd move the mouse and the cursor would kind of be a little behind where it ought to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't do that until I was booted up and in the system for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, that's interesting. Would it be just as smooth, or would it be jumping around a little bit?
It would not jump around. It would just be it was just very laggy.
So you'd move the mouse and it would go, oh, yeah, and then catch up.
Yep.
Wow.
Almost to the point where it made it unusable. I'd have to shut it down and then reboot the computer. Here's another weird part of that is that the same thing happens on my MacBook Pro. So I had a Surface Book Pro. I have two of them. Same thing happens on both of them. It's the same. And then when I boot up my Surface Book Pro, it does the same thing.
So all of your mice are lagging now?
Yes. So
that's not right.
I have several mouses that I use. Some are Bluetooth and some are connected with a dongle. Same thing happens with those. I've just troubleshooted it.
Do you have any wired mice?
I have one laying around.
Try the wired mouse. I mean, of course, that's the first thing I'd check. That's very odd.
I'm thinking the same thing.
It's not so odd that it might be happening to Windows. In fact, there were people having that problem with Windows, and the latest version of Windows 21H1, which just came out, fixes that.
I remember hearing you talk about that.
Yeah. So you can seek that if you go to, hit the Windows key, type update, go to Windows Update. It'll be under the optional updates right now. It'll be pushed out probably the next few weeks, but it should be for most systems under the optional updates. Have you done that yet?
Yeah, it's on 21H1 now.
Oh, and you're still getting it.
Yeah.
Well, so much for that fix.
Could it be? So I'm worried that somebody has somehow infiltrated my home network.
Well,
and
I mean, it is, I admit, a little concerning that it's happening to all the computers in your house. Do you use a regular mouse pad?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's you don't use the same mouse and the same pad for each of those computers, though, right?
I do. I haven't.
Okay, well, try. I use. I think 3M still sells these. 3M has these great mousing surfaces designed for optical mice. Most mouses these days, in fact, very few that I can even think of, still have those balls in them. Most mouses these days have lights, little LEDs in the bottom. And the way they work, the ball worked because it was like a trackball, upside-down trackball. It would just have little rollers would sense the movement. The light's actually bouncing off the mouse pad, which is why they don't work on mirrored surfaces and glass and things. But 3M makes a very thin mouse pad that's micro-calibrated to make a better mouse for the optical mice, all of the optical mice. I use those all the time. They're great. They have a little 3M adhesion on the back of them so that they kind of stay in place. And they have, you can't really see it, but there's a very fine optical embossing. Or I guess it's an embossing on it and some little grip on it. Now, I'm not saying that'll fix it, but these are great. 3M still makes it. We'll put a link in the showroom, the website. It's in the chat room, but we'll put it on the website for the Amazon page. The Precision Wireless Mouse Pad. I'm not saying that'll fix it, but it's worth a try, especially since you are using the same mouse and pad for all three computers. I'm trying to think of why it would affect all three computers. It is completely possible that the computer is busy with something else, especially since it doesn't start that way, it gets that way. And that's what the 21H1 is supposed to fix. But maybe you do have some software running in the background. I'm not saying it's malware. It would be unlikely that you'd have malware on both your Mac and your PC. Very different, operating systems. Most malware is written for one or the other, not both. So even if somebody did, somehow infiltrate you, it seems unlikely to be affecting all three of those. I would say the first thing I would try is a wired mouse. There may be enough interference in there because remember, the wireless mouses all use radio. And even the one that has a dongle that you plug in, they're all using either Bluetooth or that dongle. They're using radio. So try a wired mouse.
Okay.
Matt, who is... and by the way, before you go out and get that mouse pad, you might just try a pad of paper to see if it, instead of the mouse pad you're using, to see if that fixes that. Matt in our chat room says if you might want to look at things that are running in the background. There, Microsoft for Windows, Microsoft makes a program called Auto Runs. It's free. You can get it from SysInternals, the Microsoft SysInternals site. If you just Google it, they also make same guy does Process Explorer. Those are two very useful tools for running to see if there's something running in the background. Remember we used to press Control Alt Delete, but those days are long gone. That didn't tell you very much, the Task Manager. But Auto Runs will tell you everything, and that will tell you if there's something running in the background that's slowing it down. But you note I've been focusing more on something like the pad or the mouse or the wireless because it's affecting three different computers. It seems unlikely that all three would be infected by something that would be making the mouse laggy. So that's the first thing I'm thinking is, I don't know, the pad, try that wired mouse. That would eliminate the issue of a wireless problem. It could be next door neighbor's got a radio transmitter or I'm really grasping at straws here. This is a very unusual thing to have three computers, two different operating systems, all behave with the same behavior. But I'm thinking it's really going to be try a wired mouse and try a different mouse pad. And you could just use a pad of paper because that'll work fine on any optical mouse. And if that helps, then get those three. I love those 3M pads. I buy them by the dozen and put them everywhere. I even sneak them into my wife's computer so without her knowledge. But anyway, Auto Runs would be worth checking on the Windows machines just to see what's going on in the background. But why would it affect the Mac too? That's the thing that's puzzling me. Malware, unless you're if you work for the CIA or the NSA, then maybe being targeted, and Soviet agents have put malware on all three systems to monitor everything you're doing. So if you work do you work at JPL? If you work, but otherwise, I think it's more likely just radio interference or a bad mouse, or maybe a bad mouse pad. Hey, I appreciate the call. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you amazing home theater guru, Scott Wilkinson. Enjoy. Oh, wait a minute. Let me turn on microphone.
Microphone would be good to
house.
turn on.
Bugs must be turned on. Okay, go for it.
Excellent. Thank you, comrade.
Tovarish.
I've gotten a couple of interesting comments in here. One from the Pen Guy, wondering about Apple TV and LG OLED. And he has the option of turning on Dolby Vision 4K instead of HDR 4K. 10K, wouldn't that be something? And what's the difference? And the answer is, I'm not entirely sure. If you have an option to turn on HDR 4K or Dolby Vision 4K, I would start by saying Dolby Vision is better than HDR10, and I would assume that HDR 4K setting there would be HDR10. Now, does that mean that if you tuned in a Dolby Vision program, you wouldn't get Dolby Vision? You'd only get HDR10? I would guess that. And by the way, these are just different formats of high dynamic range, HDR. HDR10 was the first one. Then there was Dolby Vision. Now there's HDR10 Plus. There's also HLG, but that's really more for live broadcast. So what's the difference between them? Well, HDR10, the original one, uses what's called static metadata. And what that means is throughout the entire movie or TV show or whatever it is, the metadata, the little pieces of data that come along with the actual video and audio, specify what is the brightest pixel in that entire frame, in that entire movie. And also what is the brightest average, the highest average brightness frame in the entire movie. Now, that's great because it tells the TV what to expect, but it doesn't take into account, well, what if there's a really dark scene? And what if there's a really bright scene? And what if the brightest pixel in the entire movie is 1 pixel in the credits? Then the rest of the movie isn't going to look as good as it should. Well, Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus use what's called dynamic metadata. And that specifies the brightest pixel and the brightest frame within each scene. It can even go down to the frame level. So the picture generally looks much better with Dolby Vision or HDR10 Plus. So now getting back to this setting, I would start by selecting 4K Dolby Vision, assuming that if you watch a piece of content that is only HDR10, it'll come through just fine. As opposed to selecting HDR 4K, which may mean, I'm not 100% sure about this, but it may mean that if it gets Dolby Vision content, it will only look at the base layer. Dolby Vision is basically constructed with 2 layers, and the base layer is HDR10, and the enhancement layer is all this extra metadata. And if you set the Apple TV to HDR 4K, it may ignore that metadata and only show you the HDR10 base layer. So I would say start by setting it to Dolby Vision 4K, and it will probably look better. User 6437 asked a great question. Is it smart to buy a Harmony remote, Harmony Elite remote now? They're no longer making their remotes, but they've said they're going to still add new devices to their database. Or are there better universal remotes that you can recommend? The answer is no. There are no better universal remotes that I can recommend. I still love the Harmony. I, in fact, have been thinking about upgrading my Harmonies before they disappear. They're still at Best Buy. There's still a couple places. So they're going to remain in the supply chain as long as people have product. So, and my older Harmonies only do infrared, which was fine in the old days, but now streamers like Roku and Apple TV use RF or maybe even Wi-Fi, but Harmony remotes, I guess, I'm not sure. Now I have to think about that. Do the new Harmony remotes go over Wi-Fi at all? I'm not sure about that. I'll have to check. But they certainly do RF, and Roku does RF, radio frequency, which means you don't have to point it. You don't need to be in line of sight. So I'm thinking of upgrading my Harmonies while I still can. So I think that is a good thing to do myself. Scooter X says the Apple TV 4K will support other HDR formats and will switch accordingly. Good. That's exactly right. Jim Allen asks, do you think dual-cell LED TVs will fail to be adopted because they are too dim for HDR? Great question. Great question. I don't think that. I think they will be accepted. They are dimmer than single-cell LCDs, certainly. But as I learned at the Display Week conference a couple weeks ago, there are companies that are working on high transmissivity second layer LCDs, the LCD layer that enhances the brightness control. And you're going to have even brighter LEDs behind it. Now, that causes a problem of heat. So you've got to balance. You can't make them too bright or else the thing's going to melt. So you've got to have pretty bright backlights and very transmissive second LCD layers. I think that problem is going to be solved, and I think that it's going to work. Hisense is already selling them. I don't know what the brightness figures of the Hisense dual cells are, or dual LEDs are. I'll have to look and see. Asthmatic says Roku remotes are on Wi-Fi. Oh, okay, they're on Wi-Fi. I have to look and see if the Harmony remotes, the current, last Harmony remotes are on Wi-Fi or not. I do not know that. So let's see here. If there's anything else I can answer. Let me take a look over on Discord. I did get a message here. Oh yes, Evan at Evanescence Photo, Edmonton Oiler guy. Yes, indeed. Let me just quickly look and see how much time I've got left. Do I have much time left? 1 minute. So let me quickly talk to Edmonton Oiler guy. He gets a lot of people asking him about TVs and if it's 120 hertz. And they're fed information that they need a high refresh rate. They intermix native refresh with interpolation and believe it's the same thing. I get this all the time, and it's absolutely true. They are not the same thing. You could still have 120 hertz TV and turn off interpolation, which most people recommend doing. I do, under general conditions, I do too. But 120 hertz then gives you the option, if and when high frame rate material comes along, like gaming, for example, then you can do it, and you want it if the game actually does it. The new Vizio TVs, for example, do.
Thank you, Scott. Have a great day, great week.
Thank you.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Take care. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Time also, perhaps, to talk cruising. I've talked with Johnny Jett about cruising, and man, I'm a cruiser, but, a lot of the cruise lines aren't starting up till later this year, if at all. I do know one cruise line, one of my favorites, Holland America, will be going on a cruise to Alaska next July because I'll be on it. We're doing a special cruise for the podcast network and, of course, Tech Guy listeners, July 16th to the 23rd of next year to Alaska, and I'd love to have you go along with me. I'm going to have to create a link for this, though, because it's too long a link to tell you on the radio. We'll put it in the show notes anyway, but and I will eventually get it up a short URL for it so I can tell you that. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. Save the date, July 16th to the 23rd, 2022, because that's going to be a lot of fun. Let's say hello to David on the line from Washington, D.C. Hello, David.
Yes, hello, Leo.
Good
Thanks for taking my call.
Good to talk to you. Thank you for calling. What can I do for you?
Yes, I want to know. I have the iHeartRadio app, and I'm not in the area of the geographical location where the station is, and I want to listen to the commercials
The commercials. You're an unusual fella. So this is a problem with streaming in general. It happens, you might notice, too, if you use TuneIn, for instance, to listen to CNN or another news network or another television station, that the ads either are different or disappear. Sometimes I'll hear weird, spacey music. Sometimes I'll hear nothing. And this is because advertisers, it's because we're in the middle of a transition. For years, when you bought a local radio station, well, you knew that everybody who heard that ad would be a potential customer, right? Because nobody could hear that station anywhere else. Well, now, thanks to the internet, most radio stations can be heard all over the world. You can hear me on iHeartRadio, on many different stations. I think like 200 different stations. So the problem is the advertiser doesn't want to pay for that global audience. And in many cases, the radio station or the broadcaster doesn't want the advertiser to get a free carry all over the world. So, and sometimes advertisers also say, look, I don't want to, you're listening in D.C., but I'm in Washington State, and I don't want you to call me and say, how much is your window washing services? So I don't want you to hear me. So both broadcasters and advertisers, for differing reasons, may not want that to appear on the stream. And that's just the nature of streaming radio. I don't even know. I guess you could try this. It might be worth a try. If you use a VPN, where do you want to hear the station? You're in D.C. Where is the station you want to hear?
Sacramento.
So you're in. Are you from Sacramento?
Exactly.
Nice. You miss the old guys.
Armstrong and Getty, can't beat them.
Oh, yeah, Armstrong and Getty are syndicated, so you just call your local station and say, I want Armstrong and Getty. I know, they're great. I love them. So what you do is, you could do, I think, I don't know, but it's worth a try, is use a VPN with a Northern California locale, and you might be able to hear it with the ads. My guess is that's a little sophisticated. Most streamers aren't so smart as to note your location and then give you the ad if you're in the location. They just block it from streaming entirely. So,
well, I actually had pretty good success denying the location request from the iHeartRadio app, and then...
Did you get the ads then?
I did, but then I stopped. As of Thursday, they found a way around it. So I don't know how it's...
A VPN, a virtual private network, the way that works is you get on the internet, not where you are right now, but wherever the other end of the server is. They establish a connection between you and their server. Now, normally they choose a server near you, maybe in Northern Virginia or somewhere. But if you said to them, and most VPNs let you do this, no, I want to be in San Francisco or I want to be in Sacramento. If they have a server nearby, you can go through there. And then from the point of view of whoever you're listening to, I should probably not be telling you this. I'm sure the iHeartRadio people are yelling at me right now. But from the point of view of the people serving it to you, it'll look like you're local. So if they do serve ads locally on streaming, I'm not saying they do, I'm not guaranteeing that, but if they do, because remember, the other issue is, many stations charge additional for streaming as well as terrestrial broadcast. So they may say to that window washer, look, if you're not going to pay for streaming, we're going to block you even to the local listeners. So, but that's something. And Armstrong and Getty are on KSFO in San Francisco. They're on a variety of other stations. So you could probably figure it out, find them on some station and try the VPN anyway. They're on, of course, Talk 650 in Sacramento. That's their home base, just like mine is KFI in Los Angeles. But they are syndicated, so you should be able to find them. Try KSFO and see if the VPN works.
Okay, I had another question. Speaking of VPN, is there like a hardware VPN that I could put on, like where the internet comes into the house?
Yes.
So that
any
computer, they can't track my location?
Yes. So there are a couple of ways to do this. Many routers now have VPN. Oh, actually, that won't solve the problem because the router is the VPN server, so it'll appear to be local no matter where you are. That's more if you want to be, you have a house in Washington, but you're visiting Sacramento and you want to be appearing in Washington. That's how you use that. But there are lots of VPN companies that provide software. One of our sponsors, ExpressVPN, has router software. It's a limited number of routers, not every router, but they have router firmware that you can put a VPN on it and then use their servers. So yes, absolutely, there are ways to do that.
I installed it on the router, and then the computer will show that I'm in Washington.
Yep, forever,
okay.
As long as it's turned on. So expressvpn.com. If you go there and you look for their VPN for home router, it tells you which home routers they work on. I bet you other companies do that as well. Okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. You'll also get the benefit of additional privacy and security. So, yeah, I think there are a lot of people put it on their router. And in fact, if you've got a suggestion, I'd love to hear other ways you could do that. He wants the whole house to be on a virtual private network. You got other ideas for that? Let me know. 8888 Ask Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I love these kinds of questions because I love it that you're listening to the radio, whether you're getting our ads or not. I'm very, very happy that you're trying so hard to hear the ads. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I asked Professor Laura what happens to the ads on our show. You hear them on the radio. You won't hear them on the stream. That's stream ads sold separately. You might hear different ads on the stream because that's a different division. I don't, I wash my hands. I don't understand how any of this works. I just take my paycheck and I go home and and say thank you to the advertisers. I'm very, very grateful to them. 8888 Ask Leo. I love it, though, when I hear somebody say, I want to hear the ads. It's true, though, isn't it? Those ads were integral as you're growing up and you listen to the radio and you're growing up and you remember those ads. I remember Tom Campbell in San Francisco used to do stereo ads. Top of the Hill, Daly City. I'll never forget. They're in your head and you want to hear those, right? If you want a great deal, go see Cal, right? Everybody knows that. Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. You never forget those. Virtual Biff in our chat room says, all the ads in Las Vegas are for lawyers. Oh, dear. That tells you something. Lawyers and bail bondsmen. Dan on the line from Atascadero. Hello, Dan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo.
Welcome.
You there? You okay? You're there. All right.
Oh, I'm here.
Long time, first time, as are many here. But I've been listening for years, and this is the first time I've really had an issue that I need to take to such a high level.
Well, welcome. It's about time. Thank you for joining.
You bet. Here's the situation. I'll be real short at first here. My phone keeps changing, and I have a S21 Ultra.
Okay.
My phone keeps defaulting to cellular preferred rather than Wi-Fi preferred. And let me give you a little history here. Actually, I'm a T-Mobile customer. I've been with T-Mobile for 8 to 10 years. And one of the reasons I went to T-Mobile is they did the Wi-Fi calling first, and that was a great feature.
It sounds good, doesn't it?
Yes. Well, of course, I'm not on it right now because
it's chosen cellular.
Well, yeah, and that's the problem. The cellular in my area is a little bit sketchy. What happens is my phone spontaneously changes to cellular preferred, and I miss calls and texts.
Oh, that's frustrating.
That's my phone, and it does this by itself. Now, every time I wander too far away from my Wi-Fi, it'll change to cellular.
Yes,
so
that's normal. It's supposed to do that, right?
It's not supposed to do that.
Yes, it is.
Well, no, I understand it should use cellular. Yeah.
If it doesn't have enough Wi-Fi signal, it's going to change to cellular because it's T-Mobile's goal is to make sure that you get calls one way or the other. And it's too bad that the cellular's not very good. But if you wander away from the Wi-Fi, it will immediately go to cellular.
Well, I understand that, but it should use cellular, but it shouldn't be cellular preferred. Because the problem is when I come back to when I wander off and it goes to cellular, I come back to my home where I have good Wi-Fi, and I don't have it anymore.
Oh, because it stayed on. Got it. It stayed on cellular preferred.
I assume that because it's a setting that I supposedly have control over, I should be able to select Wi-Fi preferred, and it should stay on that.
Yeah,
but it doesn't.
Yeah.
And in my research on this, online, this seems to be a common problem.
Yeah.
And T-Mobile is not helping me at all. And I can't figure out, they've talked about changing settings and doing all this stuff, and the 911 E911 and all that.
Right.
I've done all of that. It makes no difference at all.
Yeah. So I'm looking, and so I was going to suggest all of those things and, reboot your phone. You've probably done that by now, right?
Oh, yeah.
But weirdly enough, rebooting your phone, iOS and Android both, fixes a multitude of problems. We forget sometimes these are computers, and they need to be rebooted periodically. For a while, Samsung actually had a setting on the Galaxy phones to reboot every night. They took that out. Maybe they don't need it anymore.
Well, and to give you a little history on this, actually, we had one. It's one of the reasons I changed phones. This problem started about 6 months ago. And it must have been with some kind of, I don't know if it was a Samsung update or if it was an Android update, but that's when the problem appeared. And at that time my wife and I both had Note 8s. And I was so frustrated with the problem that, we were due for new phones anyway, so I upgraded to the S21 Ultra and the Note 20, but we still have the same problem.
So I'm looking at a very long thread. I'll put it in the show notes from people just as you say with Galaxy phones having this problem. And the only solution isn't really a solution. It's a workaround, but it will work, which is to get an Android app on your phone called Tasker.
Yes, I know. I saw that.
Yeah, and Tasker's great, by the way. I use Tasker for a variety of things. In fact, once you use it, you might prefer it. Although that doesn't solve the real problem, which is apparently an interaction of some sort between T-Mobile and the Galaxy phones, because almost all of these people seem to be using Galaxy phones. Which version of Android are you using, out of curiosity?
I don't know.
Because I am seeing somebody who says when he went to Android Pie, which is the latest version, Android 11, it seemed to fix it. And that would kind of make sense that this might be an issue with Android. I'll tell you what I will do. I will put this whole thread. Maybe you've seen it. If you've seen the Tasker workaround, you might have seen it.
Yeah, actually, I think I'm on that thread.
Yeah. It's long. It's 3 pages long with people saying, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. And they do suggest E911, blah, blah, blah. And you've done all that, right? You've set the E911 address. That's one reason they might switch off. Also, if your Wi-Fi comes and goes, they might decide, because remember, T-Mobile's going to opt for what the phone thinks is the solution that's going to keep you most reliable service. And if they feel like if the phone, in its infinite wisdom, it's just a box, but if the phone thinks that your Wi-Fi comes and goes, it might say, you know what, it's not reliable enough. I'm going to stay on cellular. It doesn't know that the cellular is even less reliable. You know that. Yeah. So if you're looking at this thread, it talks about everything we've talked about. It doesn't look like there's a solution to it. Except maybe to make sure you got all the updates on your phone, and if you can, update to the latest Android 11. Maybe that's the solution.
Well, I am on auto updates. I'm sure I am.
I auto update. Sometimes there's a lag. This does seem to be particularly a problem with T-Mobile and Samsung, at least on this thread that I'm looking.
Right. Although, so I was actually threatening to go to Verizon. Verizon has better coverage, and I know even if they had this problem, I wouldn't be losing calls.
Yeah.
And things like
Yeah, that might be the right thing to do. I would at least call T-Mobile support and say, I'm leaving unless you fix this. Sometimes that works. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Johnny, Jett,
Leo Laporte, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yay. Did you go somewhere this week?
I did, actually.
Oh, don't tell me. You can tell me on the air. Nice.
I won't tell you.
Yeah.
But thank you again for that nice invite.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We got some friends to go, but it would have been fun to see you and Natalie. But next time, we'll figure out. Next time you're coming up here, let me know, and I'll.
We'll be away that week too.
So okay.
Too tough to.
There is our favorite restaurant is reopening pretty soon in the Madrona Manor, and I would love to take you and Natalie there. So it's up in Healdsburg. So the next time you're in the mood to come to Santa Rosa, let me know.
I will. And actually, speaking of Santa Rosa, Velo Airlines they just extended that $19 fare. For another month.
Must be making money on it.
Well, actually, I probably disagree. Probably not for them to extend it.
Yeah.
They're trying to get people to buy. So no.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's it. You think they're extending it because it's not doing well?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I have no idea. But whenever people extend sales, it's usually because they're not selling. And it's tough to compete. I mean, a new airline, they don't have the marketing. People don't know who they are. And then all the other airlines, American and Alaska, just jumped in because they're like, you're not taking our turf. So then they offer the same fare and an incentive with miles. So it's tough to get new customers.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear that I can still do it for $19. I'm not glad to hear they're not doing well.
For consumers. Yeah. In the short term, the long term, probably not. Because
you know what happened? I bet you when Alaska did it too, people just said, well, I'm going to go Alaska.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a choice between Alaska and an airline you never heard of, or you're going to earn miles, and you're going to go with that. So that's why. That's why starting an airline is not easy. So
yeah, well, it seems sensible that you would lose money for a fairly long period of time first.
For sure.
Yeah.
The revenues, when you buy a ticket across country, the airlines are literally making like $4 on that, unless you're flying business class. I mean, when things were going well, right now business class is cheap. So
yeah, we're going to Hawaii business class going out because it was a cheap upgrade, but it's economy coming back.
This is the time to be flying business class. I mean, you don't have to compete with business travelers, and no one's really spending the money.
Right.
So, speaking of T-Mobile, your last caller, I can mention this on air if you'd rather, but I got a little tip for that.
Oh, you do? What?
Well, I got my bill this week, and I had an $81 phone call, and I was like, what? Is this 2004?
Yeah, really?
And
what was the story?
So the story is, I have a friend who lives in Germany, and he called me from his U.S. cell, and I missed the call, and so I just hit the missed call, and it called his German number, and I didn't realize that.
Oh.
And they charge $3 a minute.
Oh, wow.
So the tip is delete.
Don't do that.
Delete any of your international phone numbers if you don't need them, if they have a U.S. number.
Yeah. Yeah, bad. That's bad. Holy cow. He's been everywhere, man. He's Johnny Jett, our back on the road travel guru. It's been a bit of a desert for Johnny the last year. But I'm happy to say travel is coming back thanks to the vaccine. Hello, Johnny.
Hello. Was that a play on words? Because I just came from the desert.
I didn't know. So you travel you've been traveling all of a sudden. You never tell me ahead of time where you're going. It's kind of a little game we play.
True, but sometimes I do post to social media, which I did put on my Instagram, that I was in Palm Desert.
Palm Desert's nice, but you could drive there.
And that's what I did. It was a 2-hour drive. So, my wife does not want to put the kids on the plane yet. They're not.
I understand they're not vaccinated.
We have a 4-year-old and an almost 2-year-old.
Right.
And, with these new variants, and they're talking about this new Delta variant that's from Nepal, and it's affecting kids. We're being overly cautious with that, which, obviously puts a big damper on my travel plans, but there's nothing compares to my kids being safe. So right now we're staying local. We are traveling, but we're staying in California, except I will be traveling without them on planes and stuff. But anyway, we were just out in the desert, 108 degrees. You can't go out during the day, but in the morning and the evening, it's beautiful, or nighttime. And so that was great.
Good. Beautiful. But that's a good solution. I think that's what we're going to do the rest of the year is travel locally, Enjoy this great
live in California,
country.
Which is, the most beautiful state, although there are some problems. Actually, I got a quick tip for you. I just saw on my Twitter that my buddy Pete Halverson tweeted out about one of his friends was driving in San Francisco, a bunch of photographers, and they literally got out of the car for 5 or 10 minutes to take pictures, and they came back and the windows are smashed and everything gone. So if you're unfortunately, you can tell me more about this if you think it's true, because you're in the area. But, they say San Francisco, you cannot leave anything visible anytime for even 5 minutes.
That's like New York used to be. I don't think it's like that anymore.
No, I mean that is a tip for anywhere you go. I mean, even Hawaii, you want to make sure that you don't put stuff in the trunk.
Well, especially if you're in a tourist area, because they know.
Watching.
Yeah, they're looking for you. Yeah,
but it's unfortunate. That was a great way to ruin your trip, and so just my caution: do not leave anything valuable in the car, and that's it. You might even want to roll the windows down so they don't smash your windows.
For a long time in New York City, people would put signs in the car windows saying "No radio inside" or "There's nothing valuable inside."
I remember that. I think they're going to go back to that in San Francisco. They need to.
I love San Francisco, the city by the bay. I worked there for years and lived there for years, but it's really gone downhill. I don't know what's going on.
I've heard it from multiple friends. Sadly, I had multiple friends move out, and it breaks my heart because I love San Francisco too. But I just want to make sure people know that tip because I don't want any of their vacations to be ruined.
Yeah.
But the big news this week, I'm sure you heard about it. United Airlines supposedly adding supersonic jets.
Lisa wants to go on one. Now, when are we going to? So this is like the Concorde, right?
It's like the Concorde, but this is net zero emissions.
How do they do that?
Muffing technology.
How do they do net zero emissions? It has huge emissions. So, they just buy trees somewhere.
No, supposedly not. Anyway, it's a new company, or the company is based out of Denver, called Boom Supersonic. United ordered 15 planes with another 35. They haven't even made one yet. They're called the Overture aircraft. And I'll believe it when I see it, but they're supposed to come out in 2025, passengers in 2029.
Probably United didn't have to give them a lot of money to do this, right?
I mean, they got a mad publicity.
Yeah.
I just don't know how it's going to happen.
If they pass inspection and they can make them on time, they'll be flying in 5 years.
They say 2029 with passengers.
Fly in 2026, passengers in 2029. Oh, well, this is quite a ways off.
Totally.
Yeah. Boom says $5,000 a seat to fly to Europe from the East Coast. They look nice. The mock-ups look very pretty. Big windows.
It cuts the time in half.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, to London, New York, London, 3.5 hours. So,
wow.
Tokyo, 6 hours from LA.
I love Los Angeles to Sydney in 6 hours and 45 minutes. That's cool because that is a grueling trip.
Flight is a bruiser.
That's a bruiser.
14.5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've done that many times. But, my tip, by the way, going to Sydney when they do open up Australia, which hopefully will be, by next year, is stopping in Hawaii. Spend a night or two in Hawaii or Fiji or Tahiti.
Why bring back Supersonic? I mean, obviously, it's going to be expensive. Why did the Concorde go away? Were they unsafe? They had a terrible wreck.
Well, I think a lot of it...
Or just uneconomical.
It's cost. It's definitely cost.
Yeah.
But the emissions is terrible. This plane is supposedly going to be zero emissions, so that's United's big thing, and United's stock is up, or was up yesterday.
It's using military aircraft jets. I don't know how it's zero emissions.
I don't know how it's going to work. And again, I'll believe it when I see it.
60,000 feet they're going to fly at. That's pretty high.
You'll see at 60,000 feet, you'll see the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah, Mach 1.7. 1.7 times the speed of sound.
So the other big travel news...
By the way, I don't know if naming your company
Boom
after the thing people hate most about supersonic travel, which is the sonic boom, is a good idea, but okay, fine.
Well, also just the word boom and think of it.
Boom. Yeah, it might blow up. Boom. Go, Jet, go boom.
Yeah, I don't love that either.
They don't look like they hold a lot of people.
No, they're not going to. I haven't heard what the seating configuration is, but it could be 1-1. It's definitely not going to be more than 2-2.
Yeah.
It could be 2-1.
Yeah.
The Concorde has thin seats, but...
So everything's first class, basically. You were paying a first class.
Listen, the Concorde wasn't real first class. I mean...
It was tiny.
Seats are not comfortable.
No. But you didn't have to sit in them so long, so I guess it's okay.
Yes. Real quick. So we talked about the cruise lines in Florida. Well, guess what?
What?
Royal Caribbean just reversed their policy. They caved to Florida. So
Florida didn't want them to do it. Probably. Why? Because they wanted to. Why? I don't understand.
Well,
in fact, Florida's going after the Alaska cruises too, right?
Well, it's just Florida right now where DeSantis, the governor of Florida, said that any cruise line that tries to mandate only vaccinated passengers will get fined $5,000. So Royal Caribbean caved to him and said, you know what? Okay.
That's not the intent that he had. He obviously...
No, I think that was his intent.
That to not have those giant economic engines powered up this year.
Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to win, which is shocking.
They're going to do the cruises without masks.
Yes.
And I'm not. But who would go on that? Who would go on that? No, forget it.
So
that's nuts.
I wouldn't want to be on it.
So
if that's the case.
Did I tell you, by the way, that we have announced we're going to do a TWiT cruise, my podcast network? Lisa and I are going to go on a Alaska cruise next year. I hope everything's on.
Well, that was my next thing in my notes. I actually saw that. I saw it in the news.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Totally.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm going to be doing a seminar on there.
Well, I guess the way it works, we get a cabin, and then for every 30 cabins additional that we sell, we get another person. So
hopefully, you get hundreds of people.
If we get hundreds of people, Johnny Jett will be on there.
I'll be doing it.
He'll be our stretch goal. It's one of those things. I always get nervous when we do stuff like this because what if nobody goes?
I understand. I've been offered that before, and I've just...
Well, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
That's
good for you.
You and Natalie got to come on
and
bring
Holland,
the kids.
That's on
Holland America, which I really like. I've done about 10 or 15 cruises with them. Well, good. I just love them. So it's going to be great fun. In fact, I went on Holland America to Alaska some years ago on a chess cruise. So I thought, well, this would be fun. We wanted to make it fairly affordable, so it'll be exciting. Yeah. Thank you, Johnny Jett. JohnnyJett.com for more information. That's his website. His newsletter's there, and it's free. He's got several of them. They're great. He's on Instagram and Twitter, too. Safe travels.
Thank you.
We used to say that all the time. Then we just said, safe stay at home. Safe don't go anywhere.
That's right.
So I misunderstood. It's not that Royal Caribbean's going to turn back the launch date. They're going to go ahead with DeSantis's plan.
Yes. Because last week we were talking about this, and you said that, and I agreed with you, that the cruise lines were going to win, DeSantis was going to lose, and unfortunately, it looks like it's the other way around with Royal Caribbean because they reversed their policy. You can still cruise, but they won't require passengers out of Florida. that for their Florida sailings to be vaccinated. Alaska, they still have to be.
Good. Although, if Florida wins in court, I don't know if they're going to continue to pursue it. I guess they will, because there's other cruise lines that could jeopardize the Alaska cruises.
That's what they're talking about too.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's unfortunately political.
I really don't think politics should get involved in health.
I agree.
That's just so dumb.
But something else I wanted to mention, which I didn't have time, was about Hawaii. They just announced yesterday that they're going to start allowing travelers who've had at least one vaccine dose in Hawaii. If they got it in Hawaii, when they return to Hawaii, they're going to be able to skip the quarantine and the testing.
Oh,
which is big.
Nice.
And Inner Island's going to open up as well. And he said that all the restrictions will be lifted once the state hits a milestone of at least 70% of everyone fully vaccinated.
Okay.
If they do it.
Okay.
But the tip I was going to mention, which I might have to save for next week, is that in the news this week were 2 college grads from North Carolina flew to Hawaii. They got there. Their COVID negative tests were no good because they didn't go to one of Hawaii's official.
Yes.
And so what they had a choice to either quarantine for 10 days or get on a plane and fly to LA. They flew to LA with other passengers from their flight. I think they said 6 other passengers had the same exact problem. And they had to come to LA, spend the money to fly there, $900 for a last minute ticket, get tested, wait a few hours and fly back to Hawaii. So I just want to make sure people who are traveling to Hawaii to go to their website and find out an official testing site. Otherwise, you're going to be either quarantined or you're going to be traveling around for 40 hours.
No, we're going to do that. Lisa made that point. She said we're going to follow the rules to the letter. Yeah. And also in the news this week is that the UK government just changed Portugal, which it was only real warm spot where the Brits could go. And so they're there right now and they're all scrambling to make it home because by Tuesday morning, if you're not back in England, you're going to have to quarantine, pay big money for tests. And so all the airlines are now adding flights, but they're going up to $1,000 for last minute flights. So this is one thing with traveling internationally during COVID. Things can change quickly. That's why I'm tell people, I think this is a year for domestic travel. Yes. Except we're going to Oaxaca in September.
Well, hopefully by then Mexico will be mostly vaccinated.
It's fine. We're just playing it by ear. We're making the reservations as if
Cancun
it's going to be
right
okay.
now, the whole Cancun area is getting crushed.
Yeah. We're not going to a tourist area. That's the good news. But we'll see.
So you should be fine.
Johnny Jett, always the bearer of great tidings. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
First, a word from our fine sponsor, Simply Safe. I love Simply Safe. Remember the feeling you had when you were a kid and mom came in, she tucked you into bed, and you just felt so safe and secure? Or maybe if you're home and you're with your loved ones, it's the human connection that makes a big difference. That's why the people at Simply Safe Home Security are so important. Of course, Simply Safe is the greatest technology ever. It's an award-winning system. It has the bells and whistles you'd expect. But the people are what make Simply Safe extra special. They're around the clock. They're there anytime you need them. Professional monitoring. And it's month to month. There's no long-term contract. You can go online and pick all the sensors you want. Simplysafe.com/twit. Takes about 2 minutes to customize a site. I really like the idea of a water sensor. I put that underneath the water heater because I've had a water heater burst and it's not a good thing. And you want to know about it as soon as possible so you can clean it up and get the car out of there. It's in the garage. But I also got the door open and the window open. Oh, and I got the cameras and then got the base station. What's nice is as you attach each of the sensors, this thing says, I see it, okay, it's good. So it's easy to order, and it's easy to set up, and nobody's traipsing through your house with the butt crack and the drill going, I got to put it up here on the ladder, you don't mind. No, you do it all yourself. and you are ready, whether it's a fire, burglary, medical emergency, a burst pipe. Even if you have any trouble setting it up, you won't. It's so easy, but Simply Safe is there 24/7 to help you. Yeah, they'll even help you set it up. And when you know there's always someone there to help, that's that feeling, you know, of being kind of loved and cared for. You don't get that with just any old security system. Learn more about how Simply Safe helps you protect you and your family. Visit simplysafe.com/twit. Set up the system. I got a couple of reasons why you're going to want to do it from that address, simplysafe.com/twit. 60-day risk-free trial, so there's nothing to lose, completely safe. And they'll also throw in a free security camera, which is great. To learn more about how Simply Safe can help you protect yourself and your family, visit simplysafe.com/twit today and customize your system. You'll get a free security camera and a 60-day risk-free trial, so there's nothing to lose. simplysafe.com/twit. Thank them so much. We thank them so much for supporting the podcast. And thank you for supporting the podcast by going to simplysafe.com/twit. We're the Wanderers. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. Richard on the line from Atlanta, Georgia. Hello, Richard. Leo Laporte.
Hello, Leo. Been a follower since your Zip Davis publishing days. So
wow.
Nice to talk to you.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you.
I have an Asus AI mesh system that was working great until about a few firmware revisions ago, and I'm looking for an alternative that offers the same level of, I can roam from one end of the house to the other, and it'll switch antennas because it had an Ethernet backhaul, and I want to keep the same feature set. I just don't, I'm pulling my hair out trying to find what I should use as a solution.
So that's the good news, is that it sounds like you've got hardwired internet in the various places that you would want to put extenders in. Is that right?
I've got an Ethernet channel that goes from one room to the other end of the house.
Nice.
I put a backhaul, you know, that way I'm not using an extender, but actually extending the
That
Ethernet
makes a huge difference in the capability. So the idea of mesh is not really so very different. I mean, they make it sound different. It's not so very different from the old extender, except with one important difference. The idea is you have a base station that's wherever your router is, you know, wherever, not your router, your cable modem or your DSL modem. And so it's, because that's, you know, generally at one spot in the house. And then things that are near it are going to work fine, but as you get more distant from that single spot, Wi-Fi degrades, sometimes to the point of being unusable, especially if you have metal in the walls or you have multiple stories. So initially we used these extenders, which were just kind of repeaters. They'd receive and then send. The problem was they couldn't do both at the same time. So they'd receive half the time and they'd send half the time, which means your bandwidth was cut in half immediately when you set up the extender. So that wasn't so good. These mesh systems came along, and the idea was they have their own backhaul, so it didn't slow it down. They could be, in theory, full speed. And, of course, the companies that made these, like Eero and others, added additional features. But really, that was the fundamental difference on these mesh systems. But you don't even have to really worry about that, because you have hardwired internet going from one end of the house to the other. You only have a drop at both ends? You don't have anything in the middle?
No, I have the main router comes into my home office, and then I have a Wi-Fi router that's the one access point, and then I have an extension from that in the wall to another Ethernet drop on the other end of the house, and that's where I plugged in the other AI mesh system. But their firmware just doesn't make it. They don't see each other anymore, so I'm looking to up.
You know, honestly, you could you could just have two Wi-Fi access points with the same SSID and password. And, I mean, it's a little primitive, but there would be a handoff at some point when the other one got stronger and back and forth, and nothing would be the wiser. It's not probably the way I'd go, but you're lucky enough that you've got full internet going to the other end of the house. You can also put an extender, at that point you could put in an extender that is smart enough to understand it's getting its backhaul through the Ethernet, not through the air, and it would make a big improvement. My probable recommendation for you is the company Netgear makes something called the Orbi, O-R-B-I, that will support the Ethernet backhaul. They also are Wi-Fi 6 now, which means you'll get the latest kind of Wi-Fi, and they even sell it in a situation in a package that you would want, which is one base station and one satellite. Most meshes, it's one base station, a couple of satellites at least, and that's more expensive than you need. So I think the Orbi also is well known for its throughput. It's very, very fast. It is less well known for the software. It's not as fancy as the Eero. It doesn't provide a lot of the additional pro features that the Eero offers. But it sounds like you don't really care about that. You just want the best internet you can get. And I think this is going to be the right way to do it. Unless they've taken it out, they offer the backhaul capability, the hardwired backhaul. So I would check before you buy it, because they constantly are changing this kind of stuff. But that's a good one. Eero, for a long time, Eero would do that backhaul, but they took it out, which is a little frustrating. Eeros used to come, the beacons, the secondary units used to come with an Ethernet in. So I don't know why they took it out. Make sure the Orbi internet, they have Ethernet on the satellites. Make sure that has an in as well.
Okay. And I use Rockies at work and love them. I just can't.
They're great. Yeah. So I've been, I think I finally gave up trying to use consumer grade Wi-Fi. I didn't want my poor wife who was working at home, and then my kid who was, he's graduating today from high school. He was doing his work at home. I finally said, and I was trying to use the internet to play video games. And I said, this isn't working. So we ended up going with a prosumer system from Ubiquiti, which is like the Meraki's. Meraki's, Ruckus, Ubiquiti, they're all very good. They're widely used in challenging Wi-Fi arenas, like offices, like businesses. But they're much more expensive, and that's the problem. That's the downside. The Orbi plus satellite's under $300.
All right. I appreciate it, sir.
My pleasure. I hope that works out for you. You're lucky to have that. And if you're doing new home construction, or if you got the walls open, if you've got a crawl space or an attic that you could do it, that's what we ended up doing. It really is nice to get Ethernet, to get hardwired internet wherever you are. It's always going to give you the best results. Even if you have to put Wi-Fi, use them for Wi-Fi, because not everything's connected. Your phone's never going to be connected. A lot of laptops are not connected. So you still be using Wi-Fi, but it's just nice if that Wi-Fi can start closer from a local base station. Micah in Maine. Hello, Micah.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I finally got that Audio-Technica ATR 2500 you recommended. It's great.
You got the 2100? You like it? Was I right? Is it as good as I said it was?
It's very good. Actually, I didn't get the 2100. I got the 2500 only because I like how it looks. It's a little cooler. But very good. It's excellent. And it's a USB mic, and it works really well even with my Linux machine, because I'm a Twitch streamer, now. So I really wanted a good mic, and it was a great deal, $100. Very happy with it. So thank you for the recommendation.
I have not tried the 2500. I don't know if that's a condenser or a dynamic. I use the 2100 because it's a dynamic mic, and that's what I like.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah. It's funny. Amazon says it's dynamic, but I think it's actually a condenser, and I agree with you. I prefer dynamic, but it's nice that you have the choice. So.
Absolutely. Hey, Johnny was great. He was just fabulous today, and he also talked about the Boom Supersonic aircraft, which I wanted to give you a little bit more information about.
So, yeah, we should mention Micah works with on a couple of air pilot podcasts. Give him a plug.
The Airplane Geeks.
The Airplane Geeks. He's an airplane geek.
Where I just had last week, I had a long piece about sustainable aviation, and it's called Smoke and Mirrors, or I'll take the free lunch, please.
Yeah, if this Boom Supersonic is using military jet engines, it's not zero emissions.
They claim that it is because they're going to run it on SAF, which is sustainable aviation fuel.
Oh, it's not the old crude oil that they used.
Well, what's the difference between sustainable aviation fuel and kerosene?
Yeah,
is that the sustainable aviation fuel just happens to be refined from other stuff, but it burns the same way.
Yeah,
it's refined from cooking oil. And the exhaust.
You're kidding? They're making bio diesel out of it. Wow.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
They have up here in Maine, they use biofuel in for a lot of kerosene.
So the advantage of that is more the source of it. Not you don't have to get an oil well for it, but it's still burning.
It's still burning, and they say that it may put out a little less carbon emission, but the engine doesn't know what it's burning. It doesn't care what it's burning. As long as it's refined the same way, it's the same thing.
It's good as traveling at supersonic speeds because it smells like French fries as it flies across the country. Hey, I got to take a break. Hang on, Micah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, that's disappointing. So when they say zero emissions, what do they mean? They're going to buy offsets, is what they mean.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah. And like I said,
the whole thing sounds like smoke and mirrors, to be honest.
Exactly. It's vaporware, because if you follow these things like I do, and like, by the way, John Ostrower, who was an amazing aviation journalist and does a piece called I just lost the name of his piece that he does, but he was just on NPR's All Morning Edition this morning.
Oh, I'll have to listen. Okay.
And he's great. The Air Current, that's the name of his piece. And but anyway, he's talked about it. And there was another company called Aerion that was building a similar aircraft, and they came out a few months ago. It was about 6 or 8 months ago with a deal with NetJets. You may be familiar with them. That's company. And NetJets was going to buy the Aerion aircraft, and it was the same wonderful, incredible announcement. And Aerion went bankrupt about 2 weeks ago. So
that's why I was wondering how much money they got from United and Virgin, or did they just get like an assurance? Oh yeah, when you make it, we'll buy it. Because if I'm United, that's all I'd give them.
I'm not sure what it was, but and I wish him luck. We've had the Boom Aviation people on the Airplane Geeks podcast, great folks, and and they're working really, really hard, and I hope it happens. But there's just a lot about it that you got to look at and find out what's going on. It's going to hold 65 to 88 passengers. That's really a low number. Even at $5,000 a seat.
Well, I noticed the Boom guy said 5,000, and United said, "Well, pricing to be determined." That means 10,000.
And they just the speed was originally going to be 2.3 Mach.
Now it's 1.7.
Now it's 1.7. And it could happen. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but they've been promising hydrogen-fueled aircraft for the past 10 years. For the
bring back the Hindenburg. Let's bring back the blimps.
They've been promising lighter-than-air aircraft in the next decade, and they've been making that promise.
I would, if it took me 3 days to get to Europe on a giant blimp, I would do that. That sounds like fun.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And there is a company that's doing that right now. That's trying to do that in Europe, and I forget the name of it right offhand. But again, this kind of travel has been promised.
Yeah.
By the end of the decade, for the past 50 or 60 years.
Yeah, it's always at the end of the decade. Yeah, it's always 10 years off. Yeah.
Right, and this is 10 years off too. Yeah. And I wish him luck. I want it to happen.
Why did the Concorde fail? Was it too expensive?
Yeah, it was incredibly expensive, and the technology, the Concorde came out in about 1968, 69.
Yeah.
It was late 50s, early 60s technology, and it was just Airbus did not want to support it any longer. It was just too expensive to maintain.
and unsafe, as it turned out, right?
Well, not.
That was lack of maintenance.
There's no doubt about that, but that was a FOD issue.
Okay,
that was something that got picked up into the engine. But also, only 2 airlines flew it, and you're not. I mean, even in the USA, any place, you're not allowed to fly supersonic over land
because of the boom.
Right now, Boom, the company that's making the Odyssey here, is talking about, and NASA's been working very hard to reduce the sonic boom.
That's why it looks like a needle.
Well, they all have to look like a needle, and they all have the delta wings.
Right.
And if you look at it, it looks very much like a small Concorde.
Yeah.
But
it does.
But it's just not, it's not an easy thing to do. Hopefully, it'll be able to be reduced, so it won't be noticed quite as much. But that's why they don't have. That's why one of the reasons why the Concorde failed.
Yeah.
You couldn't fly it over.
Yeah, I'm skeptical too. It does seem a little. Lisa looked at it and said, "I want to fly on that," and I didn't have the heart to say, "We can't afford it, honey." But dream on. Dream on. Yeah. Well, everybody should listen to Micah on the Airplane Geeks show. It's airplanegeeks.com, the Airplane Geeks podcast.
Well, but let me also warn you that if they do happen to listen to the last piece that I wrote, there's going to be letters. It's one of those things that just in there to anger everyone. It talks about the smoke and mirrors of sustainable aviation.
Very, very provocative. I feel guilty. Cruise ships are terrible too, and I always feel very guilty. We buy offsets, but I know that's not the same as not doing it. So, but I don't know. I like traveling. I like flying.
And there's nothing wrong with it, We're a part of nature as human beings, just the way that beavers are a part of nature.
Yeah. But you don't want a beaver infestation. And I'm afraid we've infested the planet a little bit here. Hey, it's nice to talk to you, Micah. Take care.
Good talk with you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. The stuff with chips in it. 8888 Ask Leo is my number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Back to the phones we go right now. Chris is on the line from San Diego. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Leo. Great to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you.
I have a backup question.
Yes, sir.
I have about 20 plus terabytes of video and picture files spread across.
Wait a minute. Say that again. 20 terabytes?
Terabytes, yeah, 20 terabytes.
Wow. What have you been doing? Downloading the internet?
No, I have twin boys, and they are...
You are... Okay, so... Wow. Okay, go ahead. I've been taking pictures of my kids since the year 2000. I only have 1 terabyte, so
yeah.
You're ambitious. Good for you.
It's mostly video.
Yeah, video, fill it up. Okay.
Sports, so I would do the whole season. I would video every game, every season.
Oh, that's why. Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So... Yeah, everybody loved it. Parents loved it.
Oh, gosh, yes. It's nice of you to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't very far into it before I switched to 4K.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so you have basically weekly 4K 2-hour videos of baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of sports.
All sports.
So I don't use the drives anymore. They're mostly just storage at this point. But my question is, how long are those drives good for if I need them?
That's a really good question.
Corrupt? Do I check them and check the files?
So they're standard spinning hard drives?
Yes.
Okay, so they'll last a good long time, but you want to keep them, bubble wrapped somewhere safe. The only problem sometimes with these drives is if the head isn't properly retracted. In other words, you really want to make sure it's powered down properly. And in most modern drives, the head retracts or gets away from the media because in the older drives, the head would actually sometimes rest on the media and then it would stick. And they call it stiction. And the only fix was a good whack on the side of the thing to get it to spin again. But modern drives, they retract the head. It shouldn't be a problem. In fact, that might be the best possible way to store those. CDs can rust. There's a metallic layer, the reflective layer, and especially in humid climates like the tropics in Florida, they can rust and degrade. SSDs will slowly leak over age, over time, and lose everything. So the best way to store it is actually on those old spinning drives. Just, wrap them in bubble. My friend Alex Lindsay does this with his old videos. Every shoot he does, he wraps up the drive in bubble wrap, puts it in a closet. And that's okay. You got to drain all the oil, put it up in blocks. No, that's a card. Never mind. I think it'll be fine.
And there's no chance of those files corrupting over time?
Well, there's lots of chance, but, I mean,
how do you...
ideally, it's such a huge amount.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's why I recommend cloud storage, why we recommend iDrive and so forth, because they rotate the drives. Anytime you use cloud storage, they're stored in redundant network operations centers, so they're in effect in several places. They're refreshed regularly. A single copy of anything is always at risk.
Right.
And that's what you have. So
I have duplicates. I have duplicate drives. Every drive has a
Oh, good. Then you're probably all right. If you've got 2 drives for each, I would say you're probably all right. But I mean, there's always the chance of a fire or something, and
Well, yeah, there's that.
it's not perfect.
Different places.
Yeah, you could if you had 2 drives, you have half of them at work.
Yep.
Or something.
Unfortunately, I work at home now, so that's.
Yeah, right. So do we all. So, but honestly, you've picked the best possible way to do that. There's only one better way, which would be to store it on papyrus, not paper. Papyrus, and the only reason I know that is because we have Egyptian papyri from 3,000 years ago, and it's still good. Right. Other than that, I don't think in 3,000 years anybody's going to want to see the Little League game, but you never know. You never know. It might be the one artifact of the 21st century that survives.
Sure, in a time capsule.
This guy, Chris, he got everything. We have everything. It's amazing. Archaeologists will worship you. That's great. So what are you going to do? I mean, after a while, 50 years from now, you're going to still have those drives. Then what are you going to do?
I'll pass them on to my kids. The reason I went to 4K is because even they were 5 years old, and I was looking at.
Oh, it's so
video.
Great. Oh, I agree.
At that point, I was looking at video from when I had just a regular old video camera, and you're looking on screens now, and it's like 3 inches by 2 inches. And I went, if they want to show this stuff to their kids, I want it to be good quality.
There is one thing maybe in the chat room suggesting that if you really, I mean, I think your initial question is this medium going to be reliable? And it is.
Right.
It's the most reliable of all the electronic medium out there. And I mean, frankly, 50 years from now, will there be a SATA interface that you can hook it up to? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
So that's the one advantage of cloud is the interface to it will, always work. There'll always be some way to download it. Take a look at Amazon Glacier.
Okay.
The idea of Glacier is it's very cheap. You can store a ton of stuff, but don't expect to get it back fast. It moves glacially slow in restoring, but that way they can make it basically offline. And you can send them hard drives. So what you might want to do is send them, you got duplicates, one of the two for everything, and store it on Glacier. Because then the easiest thing, if you're going to give it to the kids, is here's the keys to the Glacier.
Right.
And if you ever want to watch these, you can download them. They don't promise it instantly. It might be a few hours, it might be a few days to be able to get it back, but they will keep it, and it will always be available because Amazon, once SATA drives are replaced with miraculous cubic zirconium storage, they'll do it, and it'll still be accessible in the same way. So that's probably what I would look at. And even for 20 terabytes, I think Glacier is pretty inexpensive. That's a lot of storage. Wow.
It is. Yeah.
Holy moly! Let me look at the pricing on Glacier. I mean, I think you're fine.
Yeah,
it's 0.0
for that much.
You'd have to do some math, but the storage is cheaper than the retrieval. So, but the storage for bulk on the U.S. East Coast is 0.0025. So that's 25 thousandths of a cent per gigabyte. So it's like a few bucks a month. In other words, it wouldn't be that bad.
No, it's not terrible.
And then, but it is expensive to get it back.
Yeah.
Relatively and slow, but that's fine. You just want it to be preserved, and that's the whole point of storage of Glacier. Hey, good to talk to you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I had a friend who loved the TV show Cheers. Recorded every episode. I don't know how many episodes of Cheers were there. Hundreds, probably, right? He recorded every episode on VHS tapes and stored them in his closet because he's going to have every one of them. There were 11 seasons, it's over 300 episodes. Stored them in his closet. And that seemed like a good idea because, anytime he wants, he can, Sam and Diane, he can just go to the closet, episode, season 5, episode 12. Love that one. Love to see that over again. Pull it out, watch it on his VHS player. A couple of things went wrong. First of all, try and find a VHS player. But even if you can, because you can, those tapes, they're going to wear out after 10 years as the oxide starts to fall off. But the worst news was it's all on Netflix. Every episode in better quality. So it seemed like a good idea at the time, back in 1990. He had them all recorded. But now they're all they're all available. It's kind of funny, kind of sad. But he loved Cheers, and I think probably half of this was just the idea of recording it, just having it. Are you going to watch 20 terabytes of Little League and soccer games? I don't think so. But it's an act of love from a father, right? And I think that's great. I'm not going to knock that at all. And of course, since you've done it, you want to save him. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo is the phone number. GizWiz Dick DeBartolo is coming up in just a little bit. Jim is on the line from Louisville, Kentucky. Hello, Jim.
Well, hello, Leo. I thank you for taking my call.
So nice to hear from you.
Yeah, I've been listening to your show quite a bit, usually when I'm driving, so I'm not listening to the podcast version after the fact.
Yeah.
But you had a good idea from a few shows back about purchasing domain names for your children.
Yes.
And I thought that was a great idea, so I took most of your advice, and I did. I bought 3 kids, and I bought domain names for them. The part I didn't take was that you suggested of using Google as the host. And I didn't do that, but I did use another company.
I just mentioned Google. In fact, we have a sponsor, Hover, that I like even better. But I mentioned Google because I think they're among the least expensive. Who'd you end up getting which domain registrar did you get them from?
Well, I got it through a company called InterServer.
Okay.
And I used them because I actually host another site for a local nonprofit.
Perfect. So you already have a relationship with them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I purchased the site, say it's janesmith.com, and so I was able to set up the MX record to point to the aspmx.l@google.com.
Oh, great. So you're actually using it as their email address as well. That's great.
That's the only thing I want to use it for. I don't really want to set it up for hosting.
No, but they may down the road. It's nice to own the name. You don't know what they're going to use it for later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. So I got the part where I could forward, using the MX record, forward it over to the Gmail servers. But the problem I'm having is that I can't associate Jane at jamesmith.com to connect it up to jsmith42 at gmail, something like that. And that's where I've run into a stumbling block. I've tried Googling that answer, and I've come across Google Workspace where you can do it there with G Suite, but that's not free. And so I'm stuck trying to figure out. And at some point, I talked to the folks at InterServer, and they suggested using cPanel, but I thought cPanel is only if you're hosting.
Yeah, so what I suspect is going on, and I'll have to look into it, Google, it's up to them whether they're going to let you do this. And I think Google is reserving that for people who are paying for Google Workspace, in other words, right? In theory, you should be able to bounce that mail anywhere. That's what the MX record says, basically. You're telling InterServer, whoever your domain registrar is, hey, if mail comes to this address, it should go to that address. But Google has to accept it, and that's the problem. And they may be saying, well, unless you're paying us, we're not going to let mail go through another server. It's got to come direct to us.
Okay.
That's what I suspect. I do what you talk about, but I do it with an email service called Fastmail. They do allow it, but it's a paid email service. And I think Google's saying, hey, if you're using our free Gmail, you're going to use it. You know what? What they really want you to do is see the ads and use, they want you to use a Gmail address. So I suspect, I'm not sure, I'm looking at the Google MX record configuration information, and it looks like it's all Workspace.
It is everything I could find.
Yeah. That aspmx.l.google.com that you mentioned, that's for Workspace users. Yeah.
Okay.
So we do that, by the way, but because my business uses Workspace. That's our, our business email. But I think probably for the free Gmail, that's not going to work. That'd be my guess, anyway. I don't know of a way to do it for free.
Well, just for the heck of it, I did try to purchase my own name, but I did it through Google. So I purchased my own name.
Yeah. And did that work?
So, jim@jimsmith.com, and it was trivial to set that up.
What a surprise!
Yeah.
They just want to get your money somehow.
Yeah. So the question now is, is it possible for me to take those 3 domains that I purchased through InterServe
and transfer them? You bet them. You bet.
Okay.
So generally, here's the way this whole thing works is there's a big phone book in the sky that we call it the canonical DNS servers. There are 13 of them, and they're run by ICANN, the International Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. They register registrars. They franchise registrars to register those domains, but ultimately the domain has to go from InterServe or whoever you're using to ICANN so they can put those in the big phone books. Otherwise, it's useless, right? Because it has to be, jamessmith.com has to be turned into a 163.7.4.1, whatever it is, and that's done by this big phone book in the sky. So ICANN says to companies, you can be a registrar for a fee and blah, blah, blah. You can run it yourself. But part of the deal is, it's fungible. You can be with any registrar, and you have to allow people to move. But registrars sometimes are sticky, and for good reason. They don't want somebody to come steal your addresses. So there are a couple of things people typically do. Many registrars have a domain lock. You want to check to see if that's been turned on, because you'll have to unlock it. That's to prevent somebody from stealing your domain name. And then you'll have to go through a kind of a complex rigmarole. If you could set MS records, you'll be able to do this no problem. Involving a code that you get from one, you have to give to the other, and et cetera, et cetera. And then there's usually a waiting period of several weeks, again, to protect you from having it stolen underneath you, because there was a big problem in the old days. People would steal domain names. But it's totally doable. Then Google will be the registrar of record, and presumably that means they'll make it easy for you. Isn't that interesting that they didn't like it from the other people?
Well, I just haven't been able to. It might be out there. It might be a way to do it. I just haven't figured
Everything
it out.
I'm looking at says you have to be a Workspace subscriber.
Yeah, and that's everything I found as well.
Yeah.
So I may do. I think what I'll do is try to transfer them. Although I wasn't sure if I could do it days after I purchased the domain.
There may be weeks, it may be a month. There will be a waiting period, but that's again, they have to let you have it. It's just they're going to put up some roadblocks for good reason.
Sure, I understand that.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, thank you very much. You and Steve Gibson did a great job on a recent story on Dan Kaminsky on one of the.
Oh yeah, what a loss!
Guy.
Did you know him?
No, but I've heard
He was a great guy. Yeah, I didn't know him either, but Steve did. Hey, thank you, Jim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, he was a real loss to the community.
He really was, and I liked a story about when he was 11 years old.
Wasn't that amazing? Yeah. It's every hacker I know, every brilliant guy I know was like Steve, was a hacker in his youth, because that's how you got into it.
Sure.
Right? You had to figure out how to get around stuff. Yeah, that's too bad that Google does that. That's completely artificial, but they can do that. Another way there might be another way to do this. The InterServe right now is your domain server, your DNS. But you can, with any registrar, say, no, I don't want you to be the DNS server. I just registered it through you. And so you could probably say within the InterServe setup, just the place where you change the MX record, you could probably say to them, no, I want somebody else to be my DNS company. And that may solve it too. It may be that Google... I don't know. Will Google do DNS? They might. Let me just see. Because then you wouldn't have to transfer it.
Yeah. That's another thought I had was...
Google has public DNS. Oh, that's for DNS resolution. What you want is So that's what I do, for instance. I register my domain names at Hover, but all my email stuff, I actually have the DNS hosting is done by Fastmail. And that makes it much easier for me to set up. And I like to decouple the registrar with the other services. That's why I don't have them do the email. I don't have them do the domain serving, because they should just do the one thing: sell you a domain name and get it in the big phone book. But
that's all I wanted.
Yeah, that's all you want. GoDaddy and others, they try to upsell you to the moon. And I think having it all with the same company is always a little bit risky. I wonder if you can. We use Simple DNS at work for our DNS, but they cost money. They're a very good DNS company. Mm-hmm. You might be able to find a DNS company that Google will allow. And maybe Google will do it. I don't know. Does anybody know if Google does the DNS? Because if they do, they'd be the ones that would then tell ICANN, oh yes, this is the IP address this goes with. This is what you put in the phone book. cloud.google.com/DNS is probably not free, but then you may also be able to do it. Oh, it is. You could try it for free.
Oh, yeah. Try it for free.
Yeah, take it. Yeah, I don't know how much, but you know what? Google, everything they do is cheap. Let's see, pricing. 20 cents per managed zone per month. So it's a lot cheaper than, say, Fastmail would be. But anyway, it might be simpler just to move it over.
Well,
That's free.
It certainly was simple to create my own.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that's good to know. Actually, that's a good tip. If you're going to use Gmail, you better register it with Google Domains.
Right, and the cost of the domain was the same, pretty much. So, yeah.
They're all pretty much the same. Google Domains, when they first started, was a lot cheaper, but I guess not anymore.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Leo. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Great to talk to you, Jim.
Okay,
take care. Bye-bye. Now, is this cut the cake? Okay, finally. I mistake this for so many other songs. I wish I had some cake to cut. Actually, we're going to dedicate this to all the graduates, high school and college. This is the day. My nephew Will is graduating from the Rhode Island School of Design. He just did. And my stepson Michael, congratulations, Michael, just graduated from Petaluma High School. Good job, Michael. Good job. That's a real accomplishment. Looks great in his purple cap and gown. And in fact, we are cutting the cake a little later on. We're having everybody over for. I made a German chocolate cake, and we'll be cutting that a little later. You're all invited. Come on over. Ken is on the line from Temecula, California. Hi, Ken. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Good.
What's up?
Yeah, I've been having an issue with Avid Pro Tools.
Oh, boy.
For some reason, I have to change my audio hardware device in order to do playback or recording. So it's the studio monitors are connected directly into my front I/O, and then my recording stuff is into my M8 Fast Track Ultra, and it will record fine, into it, but I can't hear it until I shut everything down to switch the hardware to M8 Fast Track Ultra or to IS-IO for all.
And you're doing this.
Fine.
And you're doing this on a Mac?
No, this is on PC.
On a PC. This is way beyond my pay grade. Are you a professional recording producer, engineer?
Yeah, I just graduated from college for audio engineering.
Congratulations, Ken. That's awesome. And you got your own Pro Tools setup. That's nice.
Yes.
So generally, and this is really general, there may be something very specific that I don't know anything about. I'm not a Pro Tools user. Generally, when you choose an audio device, remember you're choosing it for input and output. And it's typical that when you choose it for input, that you'll also be using it for output. If you're using Windows, it sounds like you have some audio hardware. Does Windows sees it though as a device, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Like if I turn on Reaper, it will auto detect everything.
Yeah.
And run like normal. But in Pro Tools, it wants me to select a specific audio for hardware for playback or recording.
Right.
And then I can, for some reason, if I select ASI for all, then it doesn't want to see the microphones on the M8. But then, if I select the M8, then it doesn't want to see the studio monitor.
Oh, you can't do both at the same time. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, ASIO is a kind of a hardware independent standard. Yeah, I actually don't have a solution for you. Reaper's good is the answer. Reaper is smart enough to figure that out. And Pro Tools, I'm not at all surprised because it's a little funky. It's a little old. They haven't been, Avid doesn't really keep it up to date as much as I'd like to. In fact, the reason I asked if you're on a Mac or a PC, it doesn't even work with, let alone the M1 Mac, it doesn't even work with the Big Sur operating system. They just haven't updated. I think you still have to use Mojave if you're using Pro Tools. So, yeah, it's I would say it's Avid's fault because Reaper's great, and Reaper can handle it. Then clearly it's not a limitation of Windows, and you're using the same audio hardware with the Reaper and everything, and it recognizes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's really weird is for a while I was getting line noise only through Pro Tools. But if I went into Reaper, then it would pick up the mic fine without the line noise. So the problem is that if you didn't want to use ASIO but wanted to use the native drivers, which is it? You can't hear input or you can't hear output? I can't hear output.
You can't hear output.
Yeah, you'll hear all the line in fines.
I'm sure this is an easy thing to fix. I have no idea. I'm sure somebody, probably a Pro Tools user, has written a little mini driver that will handle this. I would say probably don't use ASIO. Did the hiss come when you were using ASIO or when you were using the native driver?
Oh, I got rid of the hiss by actually upgrading Pro Tools.
So there you have it in a nutshell. I don't know the answer, but maybe somebody does. What kind of music? This is great. You just went to school for this. What kind of music do you want to do? Do you want to work in a studio? Do you want to have your own studio? What's your goal?
I actually want to do fungineering for Disneyland.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Designing the audio for the rides.
Wouldn't that be fun? Now, do you have a lot?
Did you know that?
Go ahead.
Every single step that you take in Disneyland is specifically audio engineered.
Wow.
So that you only hear a specific sound for, like in Adventureland, you only hear Adventureland. You step into Frontierland, you hear Frontierland.
They have speakers. I know they have speakers in every tree. They have speakers everywhere. And, so somehow they're making it so that you hear exactly the right music wherever you are. For some reason, I just hear "It's a Small World After All" over and over and over again. But I think that's my own brain doing that. Well, that would be really fun. Do they call it an Imagineer? Is it an Imagineering job?
It's fungineering.
What is it? Fungineering?
Yeah, at least that's what it used to be called.
Do you have a line into Disney to get that job?
I know somebody that does ADR for the international releases.
Yeah.
So he's someone that came to speak to my school and stuff. But
nice. Nice.
And I know somebody that does makeup.
Do you want to do ADR or do you want to do a sound design?
I want to do the sound design on rides.
Man. Space Mountain. Do the Space Mountain sound design.
The new Space Mountain.
Yeah. I saw pictures. Somebody posted pictures of Space Mountain with the lights on. It is not a good look.
I've been in there 3 times when that's happened.
It's very industrial, isn't it? But then it's really scary with the lights off. So, gosh, I'm not sure if I can give you a solution to the Pro Tools problem. It's very specific, and I'm not an expert in Pro Tools. Maybe somebody listening is. Let me recommend a place you could go, though. I guarantee you could get an answer. My friend Alex Lindsay does a really cool YouTube conference. It's a Zoom conference, actually, but it's on YouTube every day of the week. He's probably doing it right now, in fact. The guy never rests. It's called Office Hours, and it is some of the most accomplished pro sound design, video design experts in the world. They're talking about video production. If you go to youtube.com/Alex, Alex, Lindsay, Lindsay, you can see some previous episodes. And then if you want to know more about Office Hours, he's just started making a website. I think it's officehours.global.
Okay.
Yeah. But I guarantee you, if you go to the YouTube, in the comments to each video, there's a Zoom link. and you could join via Zoom, and they have question and answer time. And I would be shocked, Ken, if you couldn't get an answer within 5 seconds from this very accomplished group of people. YouTube.com/Alex Lindsay with an A, Lindsay. And so I don't know, and maybe somebody will call that says, oh, yeah, well, it's easy. What you really need is to turn the Framets upside down. But I don't know it. So, Ken, good luck with your career. I hope you get to be a fungineer.
All right, thank you.
Wouldn't that be a gig and a half? Which ride would you like to work on?
Well, I want to do new rides,
Yeah, do the new stuff. Well, now, of course, the whole thing is virtual rides, right? It's really exciting. I was on the Harry Potter ride at Universal Park. That is amazing. You really
the MacRail system is amazing. The track listing like they do for the new Star Wars ride.
Incredible, isn't it? Wow. Yeah. What a good luck, Ken. I'm glad you went to school for that. I think you studied something very exciting. And I think having Fungineer on your card would be fun. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Dick DeBartolo coming up. But is this the way you like it? He says it's the way he likes it, but is this? Yes, it is. Dick DeBartolo, our disco man. He's the KC and the Sunshine Band for the 21st century. Joins us every week. Mad Magazine's maddest writer. He's also our own Gizmo wizard. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how are you, pal?
Couldn't be better. I'm wonderful. What's up?
Excellent. Let's see, we had a hailstorm yesterday in the city. Very
It's summertime
exciting.
In the city. You never know.
Exactly.
Never know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Thursday I did a fun thing. It was the 29th anniversary of Bill Gaines leaving us.
Founder of Mad Magazine.
Right. And so I was able to dedicate a park bench to him. In front of the marina, a bench that he often sat on.
Was it near the hot dog stand? Because I know Bill liked his hot dogs.
I wish. He's the only time I ever went to a very elegant wedding where there were tons of sushi and things, but in the corner, a Sabret's hot dog stand.
little Sabret wagon.
Sabret, right, yes, and the guy was there with his little apron on.
Hot dogs, get your hot dogs.
I said to Bill, how did you do? He said, well, I was walking down the street and the guy was there, and I said, hey, you want to make $100? Anyway.
I wish I had my own personal hot dog cart. But then, I probably wouldn't be around much longer. So
when you're on the trawler, it's going to roll all over.
I love hot dogs so much. Anyway, and I love Bill Gaines, and will always be grateful to him for creating Mad Magazine, which was my education, basically, in humor, in culture. Everything I know, I learned from Mad Magazine when I was 11 years old. So thank you. And from this guy, frankly, I used to read you religiously.
Well, thank you.
So what do you got for us? In church,
okay.
Yes, religious. I would put you inside the Bible. No one would know. Yeah,
exactly. Well, now that people are starting to travel again, I started looking at some travel gadgets.
Oh,
and I found a neat little travel kit. So it is a memory foam neck pillow, but what I like about it is that you can tie it around your neck at the base, and in that way, if
somebody steals it, they'll strangle you. Oh, no.
No, so you can't fall asleep with your neck going all the way down.
Oh, good. I don't like that's one
Have
problem.
You ever had that happen?
Yes.
And you wake up.
You feel awful.
Oh, my gosh. And then it comes with a little foam sleep mask. It comes with earplugs. I paid $19, but when I was looking today to see if the price changed, I found another company that uses the same photo with the same gadgets, and it's $15.
So it must be the same, right?
It must be the same. So, and also, the most fun is when you get it. It's vacuum packed. It comes in a little package, and when you slice it...
It's called MLVOC, My Lucky Volatile Organic Compounds Pillow.
Wow. Oh, you worked for that company.
Oh, I know them very well. Yeah.
I didn't know what the initials were. But
by the way, there's a wild Myra Joyce wandering behind you over there. What is she up to? What is she doing?
She's just eating everything in sight. She says, I don't eat much at home, but when I come here, whatever's not nailed down.
Dennis makes the best hors d'oeuvres. Oh, okay. She's picking away at your computer there. All right, so if you go to gizwiz.biz, that's Dick's website, gizwiz.biz, there's a big blue button with my face on it that says the GizWiz visits the tech guy. Click that, and there's a list of all the things he's mentioned, including so why is it a kit? What makes this a kit? It's just a travel kit.
You get the foam 3D eye shades.
Oh, you get eye shades.
Yeah, and you get earplugs.
Oh, this is a kit.
And you get a little travel kit.
Now, does this pillow fit in that little travel bag?
You know what? It actually does. I could not get the mask back in it, but because it comes in a tiny little package when you get it, you realize that you can squeeze it down as much as you want, and it's going to get back to its own form. They call it something weird called 5% technology or 5-second technology.
It's foam, though. It's like memory foam.
Yes, exact memory foam. As much as you crunch it, within 5 seconds, it'll go. Exactly.
5-second return technology. I think they made
Everything
that up.
Everything in the world has technology.
You mean?
Well, Mad has new turn-the-page technology.
Yes. 5 seconds after you read it, you'll feel nauseous and turn the page.
And turn the page. Absolutely, yeah.
I think I learned about nausea from Mad Magazine, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've learned many things from the great Mad Magazine. While we're on the subject, we might want to mention that you can win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine on Dick's website. If you click the button, what the heck is it? You have just a little bit more time, right? At the end of the month to identify this little alien creature. It does kind of look like an alien with two tongues. But whatever that is, it's actually a gizmo or a gadget of some kind. You'll be playing for the August 2021 issue of Mad Magazine, which features a lot of Dick DeBartolo in it. It's all about Godzilla versus King Kong, and you wrote several of the parodies in there.
Yeah, I have 20 pages of stuff in that issue.
Wow. Do they pay you for that?
What, are you kidding? No.
We already paid him $12. We're not going to give him more.
Don't you remember 40 years ago you got a check? What do you want?
Gosh.
That's how... Yeah.
DC.
Instead of returning the money to the subscribers, they just publish something.
Anything. What do we got? Is there just like one guy running the whole operation now?
It's two people. It's two people.
One of the
But it's
best,
around, which I like.
It's at least around. A great classic humor magazine that people of my generation really, we all grew up on Mad Magazine. And we all grew up with this guy, Dick DeBartolo. GizWiz, GIZWIZ.biz. He's also got Mad Magazine memorabilia you can buy there. Match Game memorabilia, because he also wrote all the Dumb Dora was so dumb. How dumb was she that? He wrote those. That's the guy. You blame him. Did Dumb Dora ever get a hold of you, or she probably was too dumb to figure out where you live?
Exactly. Except in the California version, there were 3 other writers. I have to give them credit, too.
Okay. But
I wrote the whole show in New York.
You were the New York guy. There's Match Game question cards. Actually, were they touched by Gene Rayburn?
Some of them. Yeah.
You can see the sweaty martini stains right there on the card. GizWiz.biz. Now, he also does a great podcast, GizWiz.tv, for that every week with Chad Johnson, which if you like this gadget, you will love this podcast. It's just loaded with things.
More of them.
More of that.
More of them.
More of that. Dick, have a wonderful week, and we will see you again back here on the Tech Guy Show next week.
Excellent. Yeah. I'll be here.
Give Dumb Dora my best. Yeah.
Okay.
Take care. I can't believe we're going to wrap it up, the Tech Guy Show, for another week. How fast the time goes. I really want to thank, of course, the great Professor Laura, our musical director, who makes this show sing, quite literally. Of course, couldn't do the show without your calls and your comments and your questions and suggestions, and all that comes through. It has to all go through our official phone angel, Kim Schaffer. So thank you, Kim and Laura. And, of course, most of all, thank you for let me do the show. I really appreciate it. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, TWiT. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.